out and said that he has confirmed he has in fact lost 10 family members. This might have been a targeted taking out of his house.
Okay.
Because this is not something that cropped up in some of the things, images
that
we had
is Masud Azhar that we're talking about.
Now,
Bahawalpur. This is where Jaish Mohammed headquarters are in Bahawalpur.
Now,
and this is inside of Pakistan. It's not POJK.
It is deep inside Pakistan.
Absolutely.
It is deep inside Pakistan. This is something we had highlighted some 3-4 days back. Now, you know, this is a complete training compound. If you look here, this is the mosque. Right here, you can see the domes out there, this thing. This is where they claim, you know, oh, this is a madrasa, they're peaceful people, they're just religious scholars and things like that. This entire compound has expanded in the last 4 to 5 years. It was a consolidation happening. This was actually their swimming pool, which they filled in. Have you ever heard of a mosque with a swimming pool?
Amazing.
So this was done for training. This was meant for swimming training. There are tennis courts and things like that out here. I can't see it exactly because of the flashing. You'll have to excuse me.
Yeah.
But this is where they were kept. There was an ISI field office out here. This entire compound has been demolished.
All right.
So you've taken out a few, at least 50, 60 minimum after the evacuation. But remember, what was evacuated was in POK. They were all brought here. So the numbers out here may be significantly higher. So if you look at the visuals coming out of Bahawalpur Hospital, for example, what has ended up happening out there is that you are seeing literally tens, dozens of people being brought in, all fighting age men, not one single woman, not one single child being brought in very bad state of burning and things like that. This has been the biggest strike of this particular thing.
And the Pakistan Army has nothing to do with them. I was an army officer there at the hospital in Bahawalpur.
Exactly.
I mean, those pictures are out there. It's not anything that Pakistan is even trying to conceal or even trying to hide. You know, they may claim that the army is different, the terror camps are different, but most of these terror camps are also within the vicinity of several of their army camps.
And they're doing what Hamas does in Gaza. They've taken some child, put it on a hospital bed, and claiming, oh, the Indians killed this child. Now, there is no way of confirming this. You can't see the child's face. You can't see if the child is alive or dead. You don't even know if it's a realistic doll.
Absolute
you remember
fakery.
those Hamas images? They were using literally dolls. Chinese made very realistic baby dolls to show you death. So that may be the case here as well.
Well, absolutely. Fakery is the only way forward for Pakistan to try and save whatever little it has. You know, let's go across to the next set of pictures. This is also very significant. Muridke in Pakistan, because this is where Lashkar has its headquarters. This is where Ajmal Kasab and David Headley were also trained.
And this is also where ISI's main headquarters in the region is. The Punjab region is controlled out of ISI headquarters out here. Now imagine what you're saying. I'm going to target this, which is directly under the protection of the ISI, and you're going to be able to do nothing about it. That's a very significant message. And you know, Muridke is just outside Lahore. You are targeting literally the, essentially what would these days be what Gurgaon is to or Noida is to Delhi. Muridke is to Lahore, right? So you've targeted the outskirts of Lahore. You've targeted the second most important installation in Lahore. Imagine the psychological shock they've had. Right. It is very, very significant in this particular
Absolutely.
case.
And I'm going to just hand it over to my colleague Swati, who's also joining us at the moment. Over to you, Swati.
All right, Mother, thank you very much. Well, Pahalgam has been avenged. Our Operation Sindoor has successfully hit the heart of terror. And all that you see here behind me, these visuals are of the terror dens that have been hit. The Pakistani soil that was used to push terror into India, the soil from where terrorism emanated, today is witnessing these razed, demolished structures that have been hit by India. Multiple back-to-back meetings taking place here in India, and there are very important details coming to fore about the cabinet meeting that has happened. Prime Minister Narendra Modi gave a big statement during the meeting when he said that this was to be done. This had to happen because the entire nation was looking at us. And remember, the entire nation backing Prime Minister Narendra Modi had just one demand: act against Pakistan and hit them hard. We have Rishabh joining us on the broadcast with more details. Rishabh, very important details coming to fore about the cabinet meeting where the Prime Minister has said that this was going to happen. This was going to take place. It's a big statement coming in from Prime Minister Narendra Modi that this had to be done.
Well, Swati, on your screens right now is Prime Minister's cavalcade that is moving toward Rashtrapati Bhavan. Remember, President Draupadi Murmu is the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi has just entered Rashtrapati Bhavan to brief President Murmu on Operation Sindoor. Remember, last night India struck at 9 terror locations in POK as well as Pakistan, and the visuals of last nights of many of those terrorists are now coming forward in public. Now Prime Minister Narendra Modi, after holding a cabinet and CCS, getting all the inputs from the concerned ministries as well as forces, has reached Rashtrapati Bhavan to brief President Draupadi Murmu on Op Sindoor.
Absolutely. These are live visuals that we are playing out for our visuals of the Prime Minister's cavalcade moving towards the Rashtrapati Bhavan. Like Rishabh is telling us, the Prime Minister is now going to uprise and brief the President on Operation Sindoor that has been successfully carried out by our forces. And Rishabh, like the Prime Minister said, this had to be done. That was a single demand from across quarters in the country. The entire country wanted the government to act to hit Pakistan hard, which has been successfully done by our forces.
So there are three things. First, Prime Minister in Madhubani said that an unimaginable punishment will be done. Second, the Defence Minister said that jo aap soch rahe hain wahi hoga. What you are thinking will happen. Home Minister said, chun chun ke marenge. We will find and destroy. And then we saw External Affairs Minister again making very strong statement, and this is what it culminated into. This is what it came down to: missile strikes at various locations in Pakistan as well as POK, as deep as Bahawalpur or Sialkot. The way these strikes have been done, and the way at the press conference earlier today, the Army and Air Force has shown those visuals of hitting the target. It leaves no speculations left. India has hit deep, India has hit hard, and the visuals that are coming on social media from Pakistan clearly showcases the impact of it. Remember, there are artillery firing happening at various points on LOC. India is retaliating in appropriate manner. India says that we are ready to retaliate in most appropriate manner. Pakistan should not indulge in any misadventure.
Absolutely. Rishabh, thank you for getting us the details. Those are visuals of the Prime Minister's cavalcade moving towards Rashtrapati Bhavan, where the Prime Minister is going to brief Rashtrapati about Operation Sindoor. We have Lieutenant General A.K. Suri on the broadcast with us, along with Tilak Devasher, ex-member National Security Advisory Board. We also have Professor Madhav Nalapat, Vice Chair, Manipal Advanced Research Group, on the broadcast as well. I want to quickly go across to Lieutenant General Suri. Big message coming in from Prime Minister Narendra Modi that this had to be done, because that's exactly what the countrymen, this nation wanted the Prime Minister to do, for India to teach Pakistan a lesson.
Yeah, Swati, I totally agree with that. And I think, as I said earlier, it's a statement of strategic resolve, what India has done. And whatever was, meant to be done has been done. And the Prime Minister's statement is so very categoric, so very assertive. And it says it all. And it, this entire Op Sindoor also marks a, definite shift or a paradigm shift in the India's modern security doctrine. It's been absolutely swift, surgical, and unapologetically assertive. And nothing, has been left to chance. The surprise element has been maintained so very clearly. And the timeline in which the entire operation took place, the entire way the media coverage has been there afterwards, the UAVs coverage, the drone coverage of post-bombardment, and the non-escalatory nature of the entire thing, wherein, only the terrorist infrastructure has been targeted to expose the Pakistan military, the Pakistan terror network that they have been, harboring for so long. I think it says it all.
Absolutely. Professor Madhav Nalapat, they're not just harboring this terror groups, but it has become a part of the system. We just played out some visuals a short while back where, Pakistani police officers were part of the funeral prayers of Masud Azhar's family. The family that was hit during the strike, during Operation Sindoor. That tells you the nexus, that tells you how terrorists, in fact, are part of their system. They're not separate. They're not different from their forces.
Well, I'd like to point out that it's not just terrorists in Pakistan. It is terrorists in the Middle East also, who are frankly being trained by officers of the Pakistan military, active officers and retired officers. This has been going on for decades. In fact, it's quite a profitable business for Pakistan, especially when you mix up terrorism with narcotics and you mix it up with, with other illegal activities such as illegal hawala transactions. All these three are interlinked: terror, hawala, and narcotics. And then you have a fourth element, smuggling. So the narcotics eases the way for smuggling, hawala eases the way for terror operations, and India has now shown, frankly, Prime Minister Modi has shown the Indian people, the resilience of the Indian people. It has shown the resolve of the military and the resolve of our Prime Minister to ensure that justice be done. Now, I'd like to say that in my view, first of all the various options have been considered, and there are responses to every one of them, which will be operationalized. But the reality is that Pakistan is now falling apart at a much faster pace than before, and largely because of the folly of the Pakistan military. 20 years later, in the different some part of what is now Pakistan, somebody is going to say, "Oh, we did dirty work for a certain country to the north." All of us know what that country is. I'm not going to name it. Just as somebody said a short while ago, "Oh, we did dirty work for the US." Yes, indeed. And that didn't help you. That even the very Taliban turned against you. I mean, you've become a terror, the terrorists have basically, a lot of them are freelancers who take action against you. And this is going to be terminal for Pakistan, this kind of an alliance and doing dirty work for the country. They've been trained in this, they've been steeped in this, and very frankly, this time, if they continue to do this, the threat is existential. As far as escalation is concerned, everything that India does is controlled and planned. And it is working to plan. Yesterday, the operations, today's operations work to plan, and so will any further operations along the whole range of escalatory matrices, because escalation dominance is there with India.
And as we speak, in fact, we are also getting some breaking inputs as well. What we're given to understand is that Home Minister Amit Shah is soon going to be meeting the chief ministers of the border states. So multiple high-level meetings are going to take place. Like all our guests have been saying, that this is not a knee-jerk reaction. This is very well planned. So, of course, India also anticipating what could happen and being ready. Let me go across to Pradeep Datta. Pradeep, information coming in that soon the Home Minister is going to meet chief ministers of the border states.
Yes, that's going to be a very important meeting and a significant one also, because we have seen that how Pakistan is trying to escalate the situation along the line of control. That's one of the reasons that, keeping in view that Pakistan's response and retaliation, that's one of the reasons that the Home Minister will be sharing a meeting with chief ministers of all these border states, whether it's Punjab, whether it's Jammu and Kashmir, or whether it's Gujarat or any other area. So where they will be discussing about all the things, that what kind of security measures need to be taken, and how they should ensure that, one, that the counterinsurgency grid has to be very stronger. So far as Jammu and Kashmir is concerned, counter-infiltration grid has to be very stronger, and they have to take all sorts of security measures, because they can't let their guard low at this stage, because the enemy is completely rattled and will try to hit hard India. But India is already prepared for kind of a response. Already this was discussed during the meeting that was in which the Home Minister, Rajnath Singh, Defence Minister as well, Prime Minister were present also. That time also they discussed this thing. It is in fact after that meeting they decided that there should be meeting with the chief ministers also of these border areas where they will be discussing about the security scenario. The reason is that you must have seen that Pakistan is quite rattled, though they are saying they are going to respond very strongly after this Operation Sindoor was conducted, in which 25 minutes of Operation Sindoor, in which 24 missiles were fired. We have seen that 9 of the terror dens were dismantled and decimated, and 60 of the terrorists have died. Pakistan had never thought that something of that magnitude is really going to happen, but now it has happened, so they are preparing for the retaliation. So India is well prepared because it is an offensive defense strategy. Offensive already had been committed. Now India is trying to ensure that there is a proper defensive system, that they are able to scuttle any kind of retaliation from the Pakistan side. So that's why the meeting will be held. That meeting is really going to be very important. In this meeting, they are going to discuss all the security related issues. And already we have seen that since morning that there has been heavy shelling going on in areas along line of control. Because earlier there was a small arm firing, now it has graduated to heavy firing. They have opened the mouths of their artillery guns. So Indian forces are trying their level best to ensure that their guns are silenced at earliest.
Absolutely.
Back, there was a strong
Absolutely. India is in action mode, and this has just begun. The multiple high-level meetings and the details that are coming to fore only goes on to show how India is prepared to deal with the challenges that lie ahead. Let me go across to Lieutenant General Arun Sahni. Professor Alabat was talking about the admission of the Pakistani Defense Minister about doing the dirty work of the West for decades. And, you know, it's very clear that Pakistan wears it like a badge of honor. Rattled Pakistan today also issuing multiple statements, then retracting them. Clearly, Pakistan is still trying to deal with the fact that India has hit the terror dens. And this surprise element was very important. There was, of course, a lot of pressure mounting because everybody from all quarters was asking the government, when are you going to hit? And while we were all preparing for the mock drills, the actual action took place in Pakistan.
I think what has been stated earlier, and may I reiterate that the surprise element was the timing, of course, but I think more importantly, the targets that have been selected. You have now graduated it to hit the dens of terror where they plan everything. These were the nerve centers from where these two main parties, which is the LET and the JEM, have been carrying out their activity. And I think from what news are coming in or news reports that we are hearing, I think the damage done to Masud Azhar's family members itself speaks about the pain that has been caused. May I also state that fortunately the selection of targets has been extremely fantastic because we've only hit the nerve centers of the terror. We haven't hit any establishment of the military or the ISI as would have given them the moral justification to react. So any reaction that comes in would be an overreaction, increasing the canvas of a reaction that India can then respond to. So I think it's going to be a very, very careful and measured capability decision that would have to be taken by Pakistan. I think they've done the next best thing that they could do is to increase from small arm firing to graduate now to artillery firing across the borders. We might find some drone attacks that might take place, but the answer of getting involved with any of the military targets is that they're increasing the canvas of operations. And then, of course, the armed forces are fully prepared, as has already been brought out by most of the speakers since morning.
The biggest difference that comes to fore, Lieutenant General A.K. Suri, is that after the operation, in that press release, also we spoke very clearly about hitting the terror dens, not the Pakistani military. In this case of Operation Sindoor, the terror dens were hit hard. But like we all know, the terrorists are part of the system, the army, the police in Pakistan. But look at the difference. Pakistan is violating ceasefire. Pakistan is targeting our civilians. So while we target the terrorists, Pakistan starts targeting Indian civilians. That tells you the basic difference between the approach in India and Pakistan.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think, their within the country, as a nation only, I think Pakistan is having its own, churning processes going on. While, the government is under pressure, both from international community as well as from within, the opposition parties must be baying for the blood of the army. And there is a huge civil-military divide which is taking place in Pakistan, which was not the case earlier on. So that balance is changing within Pakistan. The fractures within the civil-military are evident today. So just to, as a ruse or as a method to divert attention, what best can Pakistan do is what they're doing. Just target the civil population, because they also realize that if they escalate the matrix, they are the ones who are going to buy it, because, from Indian side, the response is absolutely well thought out, well planned, and it is towards the plan. The government has contemplated all the plans, all the stages very, very clearly and correctly.
Absolutely. I want to also bring in Professor Nalapat, because Pakistan actually got a befitting response earlier when it sought a closed door meeting, and it was evident that nobody was buying the arguments that Pakistan and the narrative that Pakistan was trying to peddle. Also, in advance, India had taken into confidence through the various multiple meetings that we had with foreign diplomats about India's right to defend itself. And that's what we said, that we've exercised our right to defend ourselves and fight against terror.
Well, you're perfectly right. We did. And the fact of the matter is that a complete briefing was given as to where these people came from, what their mission was. And frankly, the mission was to ensure chaos in Indian society. The mission was essentially to build a fault line in Indian society. We are not Pakistan. India never believed in the two-nation theory or in any other kind of ridiculous theory which differentiate one human being from another. We are all one species and Homo sapiens, and we are not different from each other. So the reality is Pakistan is looking at India, the Pakistan army, I mean. When I say Pakistan is the Pakistan military, they're through their own distorted lenses, and all they're seeing are distorted images. So that's why they formed a horrible, wrong impression about the current leadership and about Prime Minister Modi. Prime Minister Modi, after a certain point, he understands the situation very well, and he takes the action needed to ensure the situation is addressed. And the Pakistani, with the lenses they had, they could not understand that kind of resoluteness from a civilian, somebody who has never worn any kind of uniform in his whole life. So the reality is, very frankly, that they are looking at India through their own lens, and that is the risk, because the risk is that they will overreach themselves, and then all that's going to do is to cause an acceleration in their own collapse. As far as our northern neighbor is concerned, well, I would like to say that, I mean, as I said, completely without any access to government or government people, I believe India will use all the means at its disposal if action is needed against our northern neighbor. And I can assure you, no city in that northern neighbor is going to be safe from our retaliation. So that northern neighbor had, I mean, I had the same warning we were given to Pakistan. They did not take it, hence Pahalgam happened. The same warning, I think, is silently being given to China, and that warning is very clear. The warning is, please understand, this is an India that has had enough. The reddest of red lines has been crossed, and red because it is crossed in the blood of innocent civilians, and frankly, innocent civilians who are targeted on the basis of a fake two-nation theory, which is what is causing the destruction of Pakistan. And so I would like to say very clearly, this is a clear message to Pakistan and to terrorists across the world that are being nourished by Pakistani soldiers who are collaborating so-called secretly with Pakistan, but actually is no longer secret. So the reality of the situation is that as far as India is concerned, we have made our point. If Pakistan chooses to escalate, it's his own, frankly, it's digging its own grave. and they're welcome to, because all the steps of the escalatory ladder have been carefully thought out, and escalation dominance with India. I've said this before, I'm saying it now. I don't believe our northern neighbor wants to get actively involved. It's involved in a war which about its own economy with the United States. It's involved in an existential battle where the leadership has to prove itself.
Absolutely.
On the question of Taiwan, which is going to be heavily defended. So frankly, they have enough problems of their own. I don't think they're going to wade into this mess.
You are absolutely right on that Pakistan is imploding and now exploding as well, not just because of our strikes, but because of their internal issues as well. And I want to bring in Lieutenant General Arun Sahni. India may not differentiate, but Pakistan's only agenda is to anyhow try and destabilize India. Of course, we've thwarted every single attempt made by Pakistan. But look at the kind of messaging that the leader of their armed forces or their army chief gives to the cadre or the people of Pakistan, differentiating between Hindus and Muslims, emphasizing on the two-nation theory. And then he goes MIA.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, let me just put it like this. There seems to have been an ulterior motive behind what the Chief of Army Staff of Pakistan said. I think he has realized that he's on a weak footing, may not get an extension, and maybe actually he's setting the grounds to take over and look at a military coup by which he takes over the government, where he says the civil is absolutely ineptitude. So there could be a larger agenda in what he said that day, other than to rile up and create and give signals to the OGWs and his elements who are currently hiding in Kashmir to try and come over ground and do this particular heinous act. So I think there is a domestic issue that is at play. And if from what I could hear from what Professor Nalpat said, let me assure you, I don't see a physical involvement of China in this particular state of skirmish. What you will see is that there would be support in the sense of the kind of hardware and software that it could provide to them, which also might happen from Turkey. They are the two countries who have been talking to them and have been sort of supporting them for the last about a week, 10 days, quite openly in all public and all governmental forums. So I think let's be very clear that the question of how India has played it has been extremely smart. It's been effective. We've been able to convey the message that there are no more red lines that can be accepted to be violated by anybody, and not the terrorists for sure. And today we have decided that with the Indus Water Treaty, the other economic action that are happening, you're hitting the deep state where it's going to hurt. Is the Punjabi Mussalman who controls most of the hierarchical chains, whether the army or in the civil domain as far as the politicians are concerned. They're all going to be affected by what is going to sort of unfold now that the summer is setting in and you've got bound to be shortages of water, which is going to impact everything else that matters in that country. So I think I am quite sure that there is a larger agenda, and I don't think India has to, India has taken the precautions in the defensive, and the political leadership has correctly told that if there is a requirement to go to war, they are willing to take that final step as well in case Pakistan escalates to that particular point.
Well, first the political will was made clear, the intent was made clear, and then a clear go-ahead was given to the armed forces, full operational freedom. I have some breaking inputs to share with the viewers. We're given to understand that, of course, Pakistan is now resorting to the cheap tactics and cowardly tactics of attacking our civilians. Let me bring in Priyank, who's getting us more details on that. Some civilians also have been injured in this violation by the Pakistani side, resorting once again to the cowardly measures of attacking the civilians.
Yes, Adi Swati, you can see the smoke is still coming out from these small houses here at Islamabad in Uri sector. We have come here and the evidences of the shelling can clearly be seen. कल रात को आप लोग कहाँ थे जब ये समय हुआ?
अंदर सोए थे वो आदमी, मैं तो नीचे था अपने मकान में, सब सोए थे, फिर सब जाके जब बम पड़े तो सब जाके जब सुबह अभी जब फायर ब्रिगेड आया फिर हमें पता चला कि उनके मकान को आग लगी है। उस टाइम जब हम आए तो ये जल रहा था, फिर NHPC के फायर ब्रिगेड वाले आए, उन्होंने ये इसको बचाया, लेकिन अभी भी जल रहा है। ये पूरा राशन पानी जो था वो सब जल के।
बच्चे भी थे यहाँ पे?
हाँ, छोटे बच्चे भी थे साहब।
ऐसे नापाक चीजें क्यों कर रहा है पाकिस्तान? जिस तरीके से आप लोग अमन पसंद लोग हैं, यहाँ पे शांति से रह रहे हैं।
साहब एक बात है, गवर्नमेंट को भी पता है, ये उड़ी सेक्टर आज तक फौज के शाना बशाना रहा है।
बिल्कुल।
इसलिए हमारे साथ वो दबाव ठीक नहीं हो रहा।
बिल्कुल। This is what these people have been saying, Swati, that this area has been certainly protected by the forces. That's why the Pakistanis have once again been trying to target. Yogesh, if you could just come in towards this location. Swati, I'll show you that this area is still burning and the smoke can be still seen coming out. So the Pakistanis have been trying time and again to target the civilian area, and what they have been saying that this is not happening. Look at the two cylinders, 1 and 2. Two of the cylinders are right here, which could not explode because of the impact. Everything has been shattered, everything has been scattered. What we can still see, that the smoke is still coming out. Yogesh will come inside and we will show you this location where the family members were staying. And because of the impact of the bomb explosion, which happened late in the night, early morning around 3:30, the smoke can still be seen. So time and again, this kind of a clear-cut evidence of civilian area being targeted by the Pakistanis has been one of the key reasons. The fire brigade officials came here. They have doused on the fire. The water can be still seen right here at the location. But that is what we have been exposing time and again, that the man in which the Pakistani IDG ISPR has been claiming that no civilian area has been put under target by the Pakistani army. You can see in the evidence. This is the area which is barely 1 kilometer away, if you talk about the aerial distance from the Pakistan border, from the LOC, from the line of control. And the manner in which civilians are being targeted, 9 people have been injured so far, Swati. We have spoken to them. They were sleeping. Most of them people are saying that we have shifted to a normal location so that they can avoid further kind of casualty which can happen, what we have seen in the Jammu sector. Once again, if you allow, I'll show you the kind of visuals of disaster which has been created by the Pakistanis when the Indian armed forces certainly try to destroy those locations, those terror hideouts which were certainly seen in the map of the world. The GPS location was certainly seen. This is what we have also been exposing. But the manner in which these innocent civilians are being targeted, their houses are being attacked, is certainly a very, very worrying thing in a few days to come, knowing the fact that that is the only thing, because Pakistanis are sitting right across this particular mountain. Cowardly act being done by them has been seen in the past as well, sitting there using normal mortar shells to target innocent civilian is certainly something what had been done by the Pakistan earlier also. What India has done is to teach lesson to those perpetrators of multiple terror attacks which happened in India, starting from 26/11 to Uri attack, to Pahalgam attack and Pulwama attack. But what is being done by Pakistanis, you can clearly see. In the latest letter, what we have seen, that the terror sympathizers, that the terror accused have accepted that all those 10 people who have died are from the family members of...
well, Pakistan is clearly stooping to a new low and targeting our civilians. Thank you very much, Priyank, for getting us the details. We'll keep coming back to you. Meanwhile, we also have visuals coming in of the Prime Minister's convoy returning back after briefing the President, apprising the President of the precision strikes of Operation Sindoor. And we are now also joined by Ambassador Rajiv Dogra, India's former permanent representative to the United Nations. Ambassador Dogra, there's so much to discuss and talk about. The precision strike, Prime Minister's statement during the cabinet meet, and of course, one cannot forget the press briefing after Vikram Misri, how the 2 female officers carried on with the briefing, something that the entire country is talking about, something, that is a message of our unity, of our strength. But first, I'd like your comments on the precision strikes on Operation Sindoor.
Well, before precision strikes, Prime Minister and other ministers, including the National Security Advisor, they had reached out to the world. They had taken leaders like Trump and others into confidence and also explained to them the need for such a strike. So that was a very wise move, because they were already prepared for India's action. And that is why Trump early in the morning, Indian time, had come out with a statement which was very supportive. Similarly, yesterday Prime Minister himself spoke to the Amir of Qatar, because Qatar, as you know, has had
a sort of a soft corner for some of the terrorist organizations like Taliban and Hamas and so on. So once again, that was a very useful move. When the strike came, they were also a response to some in India who were saying that, you know, since 22nd April, there's been no reaction, no action by India. So probably India is not going to react at all. So that was a response also as much to
all right.
that
Ambassador Dogra, as we speak, there are some updates coming to fore. I want to quickly reflect that and tell our viewers about what we are playing out on the screens. On one hand, you have the visuals now coming in of Prime Minister Narendra Modi when he met President Draupadi Murmu, uprising the president of Operation Sindoor. And the video that you see on your screens is of the meeting that is being chaired by Home Minister Amit Shah. Visuals coming in from Greh Mantralaya, the Ministry of Home Affairs office, where the Home Minister at the moment is chairing a high-level meeting. Of course, India maintaining a very, very close watch on the situation from here on, from the precision strikes. And on the other hand, first on Times Now, you can see the images coming to fore of the meeting that took place between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Draupadi Murmu. In this meeting, the Prime Minister has briefed, apprised the President about Operation Sindoor, successfully being carried out by our armed forces. Let me go back to Ambassador Dogra. Please finish the point that you were making, sir.
Well, this visual which you're showing of Prime Minister calling on the President and apprising of the developments is a continuation of Prime Minister's call on the President before the strikes. You recall that besides taking opposition into confidence and other important players into confidence, Prime Minister had also gone to meet the President before the strike. So that is how it should be in a democracy. It's not as if it is Pakistan, where the army chief tells the defense minister of Pakistan how to speak, what to speak, and when to speak, and tells the prime minister to keep quiet. So this is a different country altogether, rooted in democratic traditions. But coming back to your point about first reactions, first reaction, as I told you, was one of relief that Operation Sindoor, very aptly titled, was really a message to Pakistan that please do not mess with our religion, do not mess with our secularism, do not mess with the Indian tradition where Sindoor has a certain significance. So that was one of great relief. The second, as you yourself pointed out, was the press briefing by Foreign Secretary, which was very matter of fact, and also a very professional briefing by two lady officers, which is a message to the world that, look, India is different. India has a place for everyone in the country within its fold. So I think it was handled very well.
Absolutely. And, you know, in fact, since you spoke about the Prime Minister's first message, he first said mitti mein mila denge, and then in that speech he switched to English, which was seen as a message to the world. And slowly, you know, then one by one strategic steps were taken. Pakistan, remember, also boasted about how it got the UNSC to drop the reference of TRF, the resistance force, which first took, credit for this attack. First said that, yes, we take responsibility for the attack, and then conveniently denied that after Pakistan got the UNSC to drop the TRF. But Pakistan forgot to mention about the embarrassment and humiliation it had to face in the closed-door meeting.
Well, Pakistan does not care for embarrassment and humiliation. It has been told so many times from so many different parts of the world and so many leaders that, look, you have to now give up being a factory of terrorism. But Pakistan continues to carry on with its designs. So I don't care for what Pakistan says, but I care for what Pakistan does. Because what Pakistan does hurts us in form of terrorism. And it is still continuing in that way. And I don't think it has so far given up its factory of terrorism. Because as Foreign Secretary said in his briefing, that we have intelligence reports which indicate that there could be other terror attacks. So Pakistan still needs to be brought in line, which the first message has been conveyed but if it continues down that path, it needs to be given a bigger message.
All right, Ambassador Rajiv Dogra, thank you very much for joining us on the broadcast. We are also joined by Lieutenant General Dr. Konsam Himalay Singh. And in the studio, we have with us Colonel Rajiv Agarwal, Senior Research Consultant at Chintan Research Foundation. Let me come to you, Colonel Agarwal, and your first comments, in fact, on the precision strikes. Meanwhile, we're also looking at these two images and visuals coming to fore of the Prime Minister apprising the President of the attack that has taken place, and the Home Minister, of course, chairing key meets, high-level meetings. And meanwhile, you know, behind us, sir, on this screen, these are the images. And in fact, this was all played out during that briefing.
Yes.
And when the female officers were briefing about the precision strikes, these are the targets that we hit. These are the terror dens inside Pakistan on the Pakistani territory, Pakistani soil.
So, I mean, today, you know, without doubt, it's a very proud moment, both for me as a citizen, as also an army man, that we've been able to avenge the brutal attack which happened in Pahalgam, where innocent lives were lost, and our political and military leadership has kept with the vow that the attack will be avenged. And the other beauty is that, you know, the way it was carried out, on time on target basis, within 25 minutes, 9 targets, 21 strikes, total coordination between the Army, Navy, Air Force. It was an absolutely, precision operation that was carried out, and it can be a lesson for people to learn how to conduct such coordinated attacks in the future.
You know, well, Pakistan took foreign journalists to the border areas to fool them, but these are the real images that the world needs to see of the terror camps and the terror dens that were situated inside Pakistan. They are no more because we've razed them, we've demolished them, but the world needs to see these images, Colonel, isn't it? About the training camps from where, you know, the terrorists who are trained are pushed into our territory, inside the Indian state, to destabilize India. They work with just one motto.
Absolutely, and these images are the ones that we have played out, but you also have to see what Pakistanis themselves are playing out the images. So today we do not have to go in for a collaboration like we had to forcibly do it in the case of Balakot. Today the Pakistanis are crying themselves. They are shooting off videos of mobile. They are giving statements how brutally battered the masjid in Bahawalpur has been, or in Muridke has been. You know, Masud Azhar has given a statement that 10 of my family members have been killed, my brother has been killed, and it would have been better that
This is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
The family of Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masud Azhar being wiped out, and these are the images, proof of the strike.
Absolutely. So, you know, this time the world or Pakistan cannot ask questions, and even domestically, you know, there were a number of people who are raising doubts and questions on the valor of our armed forces. This time there's no doubt about it. There's no question about it. You have more than required corroboration of the kind of hits that have taken place. The other thing is that what Pakistan needs to realize is that, you know, we have not even used 1% of our military capability. From whatever I have...
Measured response.
Measured response, non-escalatory, as they said in the briefing. And I don't know whether you have heard, there was a statement given by the Pakistan Defense Minister to Bloomberg TV about 2 hours back, saying that we are ready to exercise restraint in case India does not do anything further. So they, you know, they are already on the back foot because they don't know how to react. But we cannot let our guard down. You cannot.
And that's the reason why. Let's focus on the developments taking place, because there are high-level meetings happening even as we speak. We were playing out those visuals of how the Home Minister is chairing a high-level meeting. We have Mohit Bhatt getting us more details on that. Pradeep Datta is also joining us, and of course Lieutenant General Singh is also part of the broadcast. Mohit, very quickly tell us about the agenda of the meeting which is currently underway. We know that precision strike is the only thing we're talking about, but we also have to be prepared for the challenges that lie ahead.
Yes.
Well, yes, in fact, India has hit back at Pakistan and the terror camps. And it's a massive blow that India has delivered to the terrorist state Pakistan. And perhaps that is why Home Minister Amit Shah, as we speak, is holding a video conferences with chief ministers, DGPs and chief secretaries of various bordering states. Now, the states which border Nepal, Pakistan and Bangladesh, they are present in this particular meeting. Now, what we are being told is that the officials and chief ministers from J&K, Punjab, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Uttarakhand,
Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Sikkim, West Bengal and LG Ladakh are present in this particular meeting. Now, why this meeting is important? Because we know for a fact that how the border security as of now will be of the prime importance, given the fact that how India has hit back at Pakistan and Pakistan is rattled. They will surely try to do some mischief, and perhaps that is why India has to be prepared. And at this particular point, this meeting is very important. So all the review of the security apparatus at the border will be taken by Home Minister Amit Shah, and in fact not just by the states which are bordering Pakistan, but the states which are bordering Bangladesh and Nepal. Their chief ministers, their DGPs, chief secretaries and all the top ministers, top officials are present in this particular meeting. So while we speak, HM is chairing that meeting. Home Secretary is also part of this meeting, and the other senior officials are also part of this meeting. It will be on how exactly we need to be vigilant, how we need to be very attentive, given the fact that Pakistan will again try some mischief because they are rattled, because India has hit back hard at them with Operation Sindoor. And this meeting is to review the preparedness of the border areas and how exactly India will go further when it comes to attack on Pakistan or the retaliation from Pakistan. So the meeting is underway, which is being chaired by Home Minister Amit Shah.
Absolutely, and that is why it is being said, Mohit, that this is just the beginning. We are already in action mode. I want to bring in Pradeep Datta as well. Pradeep, we were just discussing a while back about how Masud Azhar's family has been wiped off and he feels the pain. The individual who has blood on his hands of innocent people feels the pain now after this precision strike has wiped out his family.
Yes, Swati, all these days he was hiding in a burrow, and finally all of a sudden he has come out with a statement, and this time he's talking about 10 of his family members have been wiped out in this Operation Sindoor airstrike. And see, what is really important is, as you rightly said, he's a man who is a globally designated terrorist. He has got the hand soaked in blood. And third thing is that he has shattered so many family all his life. And first time he's feeling the pain of losing his near and dear one. And that is what actually this Operation Sindoor is all about. I still remember the word of that lady. She said when her husband was killed in front of her eyes, she told terrorists, why you are leaving me? You should kill me too. He said that you should tell Modi. I want you to tell Modi, your Prime Minister. And now see how the Modi has responded in a strong manner, because the blood of Indians is not cheap, and we are going to make you pay for each and every sin that you have committed by targeting innocent unarmed civilians in Pahalgam. That is what actually the message has been sent. And why it is really very important, because...
Absolutely. Pradeep, stay on with us, because we have big news coming in. It's a massive development. Remember, the first precision strike happened in Kotli. The Indian Army has released a video of how the first target was destroyed. Target number 1, a Bas terrorist camp at Kotli. The distance was 13 kilometers from the line of control. The video is on your screens. Now, this is the nerve center for training suicide bombers of the Lashkar-e-Taiba, and this key training infrastructure was training over 50 terrorists, presence of over 50 terrorists. It has been destroyed. Let's take a look at the video. Now remember, all these visuals and images were shared during that press briefing. We are just breaking down the details, and this that you just saw was target number 1, the Abbas terrorist camp at Kotli. Let me bring in Lieutenant General Singh and let's discuss, these terror dens one by one. Lieutenant General Singh, the distance of this was 13 kilometers from the LOC, and we're given to understand that this was the center where suicide bombers of the Lashkar-e-Taiba were trained.
Yes. Kotli is the place just opposite to our township of Rajouri. And that was the hub of the suicide bombers training and major training for infiltration all these years. So I'm very happy to see this video released by the Indian Defense Forces. destroying this. So it's a very big compliment to our defense forces. And I must compliment the government of India, Prime Minister, and our defense forces who made it possible. And the destruction of this camp or targeting of this camp will send a strong message to the Pakistani terrorists and their masters. Having said that, we also know that we must expect some kind of a retaliation sooner than later. So for that, we need to be prepared. Our countrymen, particularly in the vulnerable areas, have to be prepared. Leave no doubt. I have no doubt in my mind that having dealt with the Pakistani army, I have no doubt that they will retaliate. When, where is a matter of detail. That is something that our professionals will certainly be working on and to counter those. So I wish them well.
Right. What you said is extremely important. We have to be prepared for the challenges that lie ahead. But Colonel Agarwal, I want to discuss with you the discreet manner in which it has happened. Of course, these announcements are not made in media. The operational details are never discussed. But in a hugely populated country like India, even one movement of a vehicle during such a time when everybody is expecting some sort of an action raises the hackles. But here, 9 terror dens race to the ground, and we get to know only when a press release is put out.
Yeah, so that's the beauty of it. Pakistan has been mobilizing its forces in public glare for last 13-14 days, fearing and apprehending what India is going to do. And India kept all the cards close to its chest. There were a number of meetings, wargaming, etc. happened. And today, when the strikes were launched early in the morning at 1 o'clock, there was no movement of troops, etc., which anybody could have deciphered. The naval ships are already there in the Arabian Sea. The drones are already loitering. And the Indian Air Force had already announced that they are going to have a drill.
A notam was issued.
And a notam was issued. So, it was a very well planned and orchestrated attack. And to carry out this attack across thousands of kilometers from northmost target to the Bahawalpur, across the LC and the IB, in such a precision manner, using multiple platforms, it's a absolute wonder.
And Bahawalpur is pretty far from the line of actual control or the border if you compare them to the other terror dens that we are talking about here. So it also tells you that we did not just hit them hard, but we really hit them deep, where it hurts the most perhaps. And that we'll see in the coming days as well. But what really is surprising, and this is again part of the humiliation that Pakistan faces, is that you see that Pakistani police officers, and according to reports, ISI sleuths, taking part in the funeral prayers of the families of these terrorists. What does that tell you?
Yeah, so I mean, it's an open secret. The close nexus with the deep state of the Pakistan state, the army and the terrorists, which they have, it's a known thing. So it comes as a no surprise to me if the police or the army people are participating in the funerals of the terrorists. They enjoy a very close-knit bond. But what I would like to say here is that this strike which has happened today may be a turning point for the Pakistan army as such. It's a very popular saying that all states have army, but Pakistani army has a state. And the kind of setbacks that Pakistan army has been experiencing for last 6 months, the Jafar Express hijacking and the mass killing of the Pakistani soldiers in March, the kind of pressure that are feeling across the Durand line against the TTP and the Afghan Taliban. They had to launch airstrikes in December and January against Afghanistan Taliban. And now they were thinking that they would have got away with the Pahalgam and India may launch a Balakot kind of isolated strike. But this kind of strike, you see videos. People in Pakistan are cursing that who's Asim Munir to take Pakistan's future in our hands.
Absolutely.
So there is internal revolt and rebellion.
And he is MIA. He is nowhere to be seen.
He is nowhere to be seen.
He is not even, trying to boost the morale of the forces. Some edited video was played out perhaps, and the lip movement and
it was
the
not
audio,
syncing.
it was not syncing, it was not matching, and they projected and played it out like he is boosting the morale of the forces. There's some sort of big message coming in from their army chief. Lieutenant General Singh, it's also being said that the public in Pakistan is disillusioned with the army over there, and that's visible, when Maulanas are carrying out surveys in mosques saying kitne log support karenge Pakistani army ka if the war happens, and nobody raises their hand.
Absolutely.
As per whatever the world news and news that is emanating from Pakistan, is that people are extremely unhappy with their army.
Yes.
And particularly with this chief, army chief, who himself is basically Maulana's son and brought up in a mosque. So I think there is a huge upheaval which is taking place in Pakistani society, where they are they are asking for accountability from people, from the military, about their, taking the nation to some other nation to a likely warlike situation. So I think the Pakistan army no longer enjoys the popularity that many people believed earlier. I think the people of Pakistan have started slowly understanding the game plan of Pakistani military and their nexus with the terrorist groups.
Absolutely. I want to bring in Pradeep Datta also. Pradeep, the mastermind of the 2019 Pulwama attack, Masud Azhar, was once in our clutches, behind the bars in Indian jails. Today his family has been wiped out, and one member of his family, his brother, in fact, was the plotter of the IC-814 hijacking.
Yes, you are absolutely right. In fact, it was Mufti Rauf who was the one who had ensured that Masud Azhar should be taken out from the Kotbalwal jail. And he, along with Pakistan's inter-service intelligence, they planned hijacking of IC-814. And finally, Masud Azhar was released in exchange of the passengers of that aircraft. And see today what really has happened. After so many decades, finally, the family is completely wiped out. It's a strong message that India sent. Swati, I still remember just a few months back while I was covering Israel-Lebanon war, I realized that that time Israel was able to hit one of the bunkers underground where Hezbollah's chief Nasrallah, as well as his family members, including his daughter, were putting up. They were hiding there. I thought that whether ever something like that will happen in Pakistan, India will ever be able to do so. And I had been proved wrong today, because India has shown its capability by carrying out attack with precision. And as you rightly said, there was a complete secrecy, there was this element of surprise, and one can see now shockwaves all around in Pakistan, because Pakistan army is seen scratching their forehead. They don't know what really has happened, because once again they were caught napping. The same thing happened during that Balakot strike also, when Indian Air Force was able to penetrate deep inside Pakistani territory. This time Indian aircraft didn't cross line of control. They were on the Indian side, and from there they were able to fire Scalp, Hammer, as well as BrahMos. And you can see how they were able to decimate and demolish all their terror tent. Today there is no, in fact, a shelter for Masud Azhar, because he is the one who had been responsible for killing so many people. If we talk about the Muridke also. So Muridke is a place where actually David Coleman Hadley, where Ajmal Kasab and many other terrorists were trained. This is the place from where actually 26/11 attack was planned, along with ISI and Rawalpindi headquarters. And from there they had sent the 10 terrorists who came to Karachi, and from Karachi to financial capital Mumbai, where it was targeted. 166 people lost their lives, 300 were injured. And see today, it's lying in rubble. That is what actually India's change in military strategy is all about. And this military strategy paradigm shift we have seen since 2016, when the first surgical strike was carried out. That was the time when India sent a message that if you will keep on violating line of control, it's not going to be sacrosanct for us. We also are going to cross. And they crossed after exactly Uri attack, and they were able to decimate many of their launch pads. And after Balakot, after Pulwama bombing, in which 40 of our brave-hearts lost their life, that time also we saw how they crossed line of control. But this time they did not need even to cross a line of control, because they knew what exactly they are going to do. And what is more important is that everybody thought that maybe after the mock drill there can be some kind of a movement from Indian side. They will go for any kind of a kinetic mission. But mock drill was basically a ploy, and they made with this they made mockery of Pakistan, because they were caught napping. They had no idea that this mock drill is not going to happen. Basically, they wanted to divert their attention, and in just hours before that, they were able to target many of their terror tents. 25, you can see 25 minutes. This operation was Sindur, and 25 minutes they fired 24 missiles, and they destroyed 9 10, and 60 terrorists were eliminated. You can see what a fantastic operation that has been conducted by Indian Army. That's one of the reasons the Prime Minister has given pat on the back of each and every person who was part of this operation while he was
during the meetings before the Operation Sindoor also, the Prime Minister made it absolutely clear. The political will, the intent was made clear when the Prime Minister said that he is giving full operational operational freedom to the forces. It's upon the forces now, Colonel Agarwal, to choose the place and the timing. And let's just try to decode what happened through these precision strikes. So Bahawalpur that was targeted is 100 kilometers from the LOC. That tells you a lot about the kind of weaponry, missiles or the artillery that has been used and the might of that, just based on the distance. That's how deep we could strike.
Yes, absolutely. And this 100 kilometers also not this 100 kilometers also across the international border. So it is not as if we have launched these strikes and gone through the border like this. The aeroplanes would have taken off from the bases which are adjacent to and along the international border. And we have the capability which is so huge and potent, because that capability did not exist in 2019. We neither had got the first set of Rafales, nor we had the Scalp missiles. Today, the Rafales and the Scalp missiles were able to do what we wished we could have done had we wanted a better effect in Balakot. So you don't have to cross the international border. The Scalp missile has got a range of up to 560 kilometers.
Let's if I focus on the details that you're talking about. Well, some people tried to mock it by putting Nimbu Mirchi on the Rafale. We will not discuss that today. Let's just take a look at the might and the weaponry or the artillery that Colonel Agarwal is talking about that was used to carry out the precision strikes. Meanwhile, now these are the terror camps or dens that we are highlighting on the map. Let's, I'm just going to point this out and perhaps you can add more, Colonel Agarwal. Rafale, multi-role fighter jets with advanced avionics, part of the mission.
Absolutely.
You can add more to it. Then we had Scalp, the long-range cruise missile, again part of the precision strikes. Like you were saying, well within our territory, measured response through this.
And another thing, these are long-range missiles, they are air-launched cruise missiles. They've got stealth technology. They fly, or they once they are fired, they fly along with the terrain. So it becomes very difficult for the adversary to pick up. No, we've been talking about the 9 locations that have been hit and the 21 targets within those 9 locations. But we have not spoken about how we have been able to successfully evade all their air defense and missile defense systems and reach. It is because of the technology which is there, both with the 4.5 generation Rafale fighters as well as the Scalp missiles, that you are able to evade the detection and reach onto the target and carry out the precision strike.
That's the most important thing, without being detected. Let's also talk about Hammer, air-to-ground precision guided munition.
Yeah, so I mean, these have got a limited range, so most probably they would have been, used in the targeting along the
LOC?
Along the LC up to the 13-kilometer mark that we were talking about. So they would have been used. They help you for the bomb. These are more of a modular kit which are fixed to a standard bomb up to 500 kgs, and they can take it to the target with precision and help achieve the desired impact. One thing more that we have to remember about Scalp is that it has got the ability that it first penetrates, then the detonation takes place. So that is why when we saw the visuals of the Bahawalpur mosque, there was a huge hole on the roof, shattered ground, and even in the basement, it was damaged.
So that was the impact of Scalp.
That was the impact of Scalp because it has got the bunker penetrating effect in it. So the entire mosque or that complex was absolutely devastated and shattered. And when they talk of 26 casualties, I was there with some other discussion, you have to safely add one more zero to it. There is no way in hell that 9 targets, 9 locations, 21 targets, all successful hits, people crying for help, targets totally devastated, and you have only 26. 14 to Masud Azhar ki family ke mar gaye. So, these figures will get more corroborated, but it has been a very successful and a potent, and I would say it is only a trailer. If Pakistan gets into any misadventure, then if the military might of India is unleashed,
it won't be able to stand in front of that. It's evident to Pakistan as well, I think. That's the reason why, like you highlighted earlier, their defense minister said we'll practice restraint and we'll refrain from any misadventures if
India does not escalate any further.
Absolutely. And if there is any misadventure, India will not shy away from that, from escalating the situation, because terrorism, the Prime Minister made it absolutely clear that we will keep fighting against terrorism till we finish it off, till we wipe it off. We have Anil Sharma, cabin crew chief of Indian Airline IC-814 that was hijacked. Thank you very much, Mr. Sharma, for joining us today. In the precision strikes, the family members of Masud Azhar wiped out. What is your first reaction? What is your first response?
First and foremost, my hello to co-panelists and greetings to viewers of India TV, and also to all Indians who must be very proud and happy about the direction and the response to Pakistan has taken. As a hostage on board IC-814, and when it was clear to us that the entire drama had been staged because they wanted the release of that dreaded terrorist Maulana Masud Azhar, it gives me enormous satisfaction to record, to register that, yes, it's a very satisfying day. And though one feels bad about the loss of the lives of children and all that, but as someone said that the blood is on Masud Azhar's hands, and they didn't bat an eyelid when they were executing Ripon Katyal on board IC-814. So it's, I think, but we still have some distance to cover. And like most Indians, I have full confidence in the capability of our three wings of our forces. And it's a very satisfying day, I would say.
Absolutely, and I understand how with great difficulty you are, trying to put that, your expression, your feelings into words, because this obviously brings back those memories. It's a grim reminder as well, I believe, of what transpired. But like you said, the entire country standing with the government, that sentiment is very important, isn't it, Anil Sharma ji?
Certainly, ma'am. See, on the night of 29th, when they took 29th of December 1999, when they took some people from the hostages that we all were to the J class, and they wanted to negotiate a settlement. After some time, the talks failed, and they were herded back into the economy class. I still remember with a lot of, shall I say, tremor, that this voice of the chief hijacker, who happened to be the brother of Maulana Masood, and I hope he's also one of those who has perished. And he says कि एक बात जहन में अच्छी तरह उतार लीजिए, मौलाना का मसला हल होने के बाद ही. So this was the crux of that hijack operation that they had carried out. So obviously, and we all know what devastation he and his organization unleashed on India. The parliament attack, numerous incidents, including that unfortunate Pulwama episode. All these were carried out at his behest. So I think it's a huge setback to him, and I hope the final nail in the coffin can also be hammered soon.
All right. Well, we have some breaking inputs coming in. That's what we're given to understand. So back-to-back high-level meetings are taking place here. India, of course, preparing for the challenges that lie ahead. And amidst all this, Pakistan once again resorting to empty threats. Shaken by Bharat's Operation Sindoor, Pakistan repeats, will retaliate. That's what Pakistan has been saying all along, but it was taken by surprise. And clearly till now, Pakistan does not know how to react. So it has resorted to cowardly tactics of firing at civilians across the LOC. Now Pakistan says, we will retaliate. Lieutenant General Singh is also with us on the broadcast. Now, of course, we're not going to take any of these statements lightly, because we know that we have to also fight the challenges that lie ahead. But, how serious do you feel are these statements coming in, or empty threats from Pakistan?
Yeah, as a professional, one should never take a threat from an enemy very lightly. Everything must be taken seriously. And as I said earlier, they are bound to retaliate. They will have to retaliate in some way, but when, where, and with what force is something that we can only guess. But let me assure you that our armed forces would be absolutely ready to meet these challenges. At the same time, control the escalatory metrics, in the sense that since India doesn't want any kind of escalation, having punished these terrorist groups who were responsible for such heinous acts, having punished them, Indian armed forces, they did not hit the military targets, they did not hit the infrastructure, they did not hit any other except the terrorist, training areas. So therefore, I do believe that it will be wise for Pakistan military not to retaliate with a view to escalate, because that will bring them into direct conflict, a very serious situation, because our armed forces are ready, our armed forces are well equipped. So it will be in their interest, but my reading is that they will have to respond in some way in a face-saving manner, at the same time push for some kind of a control measure through their friends and friends around the world. So and as a country, India will never want this situation to escalate.
Absolutely. And Colonel Agarwal, their allies must have woken up by now. We don't see any strong reaction coming in favor of Pakistan or criticizing what India has done, because every nation at this point of time does realize that India has the right to defend itself. That's exactly what we've done. We just exercised our right.
Absolutely. And, India took a proactive stand in this. Immediately before and after the strikes, our diplomats are online, and we spoke to America, we spoke to Russia, we spoke to UK, we spoke to Saudi Arabia, and we spoke to UAE. The 5 most influential nations as far as this is concerned. China has not come out with any official statement to best of my knowledge. Turkey had made a statement 2 days back that they will stand with Pakistan and do whatever it is to defend to them. These two are the only, known backers or this thing, but I have doubts whether China would like to get into an active military conflict based on the stupidity that Pakistan has inflicted upon itself. And, right now, it is a very, very precarious situation for the Pakistani man. If they do, they are damned. If they don't do, they are damned. Because if they don't take any action, then when you couple up everything that has been happening in Pakistan for last few months, it becomes an existential threat for the army to be the superior, the agency or the entity in Pakistan for the future. Already undercurrents are there of dissensions within the armed forces as well as out on the street. But if they do, then they know the retaliation is going to be so massive that there is no it is end of
going back from that.
There's end of the day for them. So right now they are in such a dilemma that they don't know what to do. So that's why you see the defense minister saying something, the DG ISP are saying something else, and now Pakistan Prime Minister's office saying that something else, like you said, ranting about that we will
and some of their netas in fact also remember admitting that if something like this happens, they will fly off to London. Perhaps some are already on their way to London.
Absolutely.
But we constantly saw this kind of statements coming in, that India is going to strike any moment now, that this is going to happen, we need to prepare ourselves and that we are ready. But it exposes the kind of preparedness that Pakistan was talking about as well.
No, see, it exposes the preparedness as well as the capability. They've been mobilizing and switching on their capability for last 14 days. But what it has demonstrated is, and it is just a teaser of what we have with us, that even with full mobilization of their defensive assets, they have not been able to stop any of the strikes from going in, including to Bahawalpur, which is their heart, as far as the Jaish-e-Mohammed is concerned, as far as the political and military infrastructure is concerned. Your missile could go 100 kilometers inside, strike it multiple times. It is not one single strike. Multiple strikes have taken place. So it is also a reality check for them that they do not have the capability. And I would like to remind the viewers that in 2019-20, Pakistan, or I think slightly later also, Pakistan had requested Russia to supply S-400 air defense systems to it, which Russia has not obliged. Whereas India already has few batteries of S-400. So we are prepared and ready for any kind of misadventure from the air that Pakistan may try to inflict. But Pakistan does not have the capability which has been seen today.
And does not even have the support. Does not even have the support, because since you brought up Russia, Vladimir Putin spoke to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and he made it absolutely clear when he said that terrorists should be brought to justice.
Absolutely.
What he was also implying was, of course, India has every right to act. India has the right to exercise, how to defend itself and bring the perpetrators to justice. Exactly what we've done. I want to go back to Anil Sharma. And Anil Sharma ji, like I said, this definitely brings back memories, and our viewers would also like to hear what happened. What happened that day?
See, it was like any normal flight, and we took off from Kathmandu, and we were running slightly late. The captain was in a hurry to depart from Kathmandu because the night landing facilities aren't very good over there and sometimes non-existent. And 40 minutes into this, when I entered the cockpit to ask them before landing whether they would like a beverage or something like that, because it had been a long day. All of them had started, excepting me, all of them had started their day from Hyderabad, flown to Delhi and up to Kathmandu. So when I was coming out, the chief, as I said, the brother of Maulana Masud, he was standing with a monkey cap and a pistol in his hand. And he said in Urdu that we are taking over this aircraft. So when I attempted to caution, it was too late, obviously, because I was standing with the door handle in my hand. But I was told to caution. He said, "Iski koi zarurat nahi hai. Hamari aapse koi dushmani nahi hai. Aap bhi hoshyari mat dikhaiega." Now, this gives an indication that how well trained they were, because they had been trained about the aircraft. They had rehearsed various things, and it did come as a little bit of a disappointment to me when I watched the IC-814 series on Netflix recently, when the makers decided to give a clean check to ISI. I mean, in my book, which I have written, there is a clear indication. Mr. Dole told me that there's this gentleman at Kandahar who said, "Ki Dole sahab, aap bahut din se Pakistan nahi aaye." So I asked Mr. Dole, I said, "Who was he?" He says, "Obviously an IS agent." It gives you an idea to you and your viewers that it was a very well trained squad, and they were on a do or die mission, and they had all the information about what was happening. About the Amritsar, what happened at Amritsar, that there were details leaked to them that the commanders were on the way and stuff like that. I think it's all this is in public domain. I want to remind viewers also the fact that before this ghastly attempt on IC-814 was made, there had been several attempts to free Maulana Masud Azhar. There were 5, I think, British tourists who lost their life. They were beheaded. Then there was the jail escape attempted from Kotwal jail. So you then realize that how high the stakes were on this man. And then after his release, which was an unfortunate episode, but I don't think the government had any choice because there were so many hostages' lives at stake. Thereafter, of nurturing Pakistan did. I think it's very clear now.
Absolutely. The presence of the terror dens in the first place is the evidence that Pakistan harbors them, it shelters them, and then uses them against India. Colonel Agarwal, also, what about the the threats that Pakistan comes up with? Not just this one that they'll retaliate, but they also refer to how they are also a nuclear power.
Yes, so Swati, I mean, nuclear threat, that bogey has always been advertised by Pakistan. Even this time, the Interior Minister was saying on a live TV that we have not made these 90 bombs to be displayed on the squares or to be, they have been made specifically for India. But I would say that the nuclear bogey was taken out first time when we did Balakot. Because every time there was something to be done across the LC and forget about the international border, the first concern in Indian decision-making body was that there is a real threat of nuclear, bogey being called by Pakistan. Balakot was the first instant when we rebuffed that bogey, and this time it was very clear that whenever and whatever the consequences would be, then there is no way that the nuclear bogey can be kept in the picture. And even the statements which our leadership has made in that context makes it very clear that you have the liberty to launch that first strike with whatever limited capability of nuclear weapons that you have. But thereafter, the aftermath will have to be borne by you. And I have also said this, it's a point of consideration for our leadership that it is high time now that we revoke our no first use policy as far as the nuclear weapons are concerned. Because right now, the entire world knows that it is only that something will happen and India will react.
Then it will react, yes.
Once we have done Operation Sindoor, we cannot ever be in a reactive mode. And just the revoking of this no first use policy will add to the deterrence that we are trying to create with Operation Sindoor and whatever we do here on. So to me, nuclear bogey has been called off, and it cannot be treated as obstacle to our military and political planning in the future.
I want to bring in Lieutenant Singh because the biggest difference between how Pakistan reacts or attacks and how India retaliates is chup ke marenge. That is what Pakistan's agenda seems to be, and ghar mein ghus ke marenge is what India's stand is. It has been made absolutely clear now for the third time.
Yes. What you're saying is that what does Pakistan actually, in their response, what do? They cannot hit our military targets. They cannot hit our infrastructure, though they may this time to a very, very measured kind of a manner. But we have very clear-cut targets. The targets are the terrorist camps. India as a state does not want war with Pakistan. We are at war with the terrorists, and the terrorists supported by Pakistan military. So, whereas they do not have that kind of a focused kind of idea as to whom do they target here. Because the civilians, do they target the civilians? If they target the military or if they target any other infrastructure or the civilians, then it means they are at war. So therefore, I think there is the dilemma in their minds as to how to respond. Respond they will, but then they will also be extremely careful about the reactions and about the India's armed forces response, because they will not be in a situation to control thereafter. As far as the nuclear thing is concerned, as has been brought out earlier, it's a very extremely serious issue. I mean, it's a totally beyond normal, it's a normal beyond the war as we know. It's an extremely serious issue. We have very structured and very organized way of command and control in our side. The only thing is on their side, I'm not very sure about their structure, the nuclear command authority.
Well, there's total chaos and confusion, isn't it? Because the government does not know what the army is doing, ISI is doing, what their terrorists are doing. So there's total chaos and confusion. That's the reason why perhaps it's imploding from within. But, yes, the nation is standing today with the government and applauding this move. And the Prime Minister, of course, giving all the credit to the forces. The most important reactions are coming in from the family members who lost their near and dear ones in the Pahalgam attack. Our group editor-in-chief Navika Kumar spoke to Shubham Dwivedi's wife. Take a look at the interaction.
ये जो ऑपरेशन का नाम ऑपरेशन सिंदूर है, आपको लगता है कि वाकई सिंदूर का बदला था ये?
It's very personal. ये जो नाम उन्होंने दिया है, this only proves कि वो हमसे पर्सनल लेवल पे कनेक्ट होकर हमारा पर्सनल बदला लेके आए. वो हमारे देश में जितनी भी औरतें अब आज अपने हस्बैंड्स को खो चुकी हैं, उनके लिए वो बदला लेके आए. मुझे तो ऐसा ही लग रहा है मेरे घर का कोई इंसान जाके बदला लेके आया मेरे लिए.
ये ऑपरेशन सिंदूर का नाम प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने दिया था, ऐसा कहा जा रहा है. आज क्या महसूस कर रही हैं?
उन्हीं के अंदर शायद इतने इमोशंस हैं कि वो हम सबका इंडिविजुअल पेन समझ पाए और उन्होंने इस ऑपरेशन का ये नाम रखा ये वही कर सकते थे। ये इतने पर्सनल लेवल पे इतना पर्सनल नाम देना, ये तभी किसी के अंदर आएगा जब वो हमसे उस लेवल पे कनेक्ट होगा। शायद मोदी जी के अंदर इतना है कि वो हमसे पर्सनल लेवल पे कनेक्ट होके उन्होंने ये नाम रखा। रियली थैंकफुल टू एवरीवन हूसोएवर इज अ पार्ट ऑफ ऑपरेशन सिंदूर, ऑल द आर्म फोर्सेस, थैंक यू। आपने ये जो हम लोगों के लिए किया है, थैंक यू सो मच।
Well, of course, you know, that void can never be filled. But right after the attack, the first message of the Prime Minister to the nation in his address was, "Mitti mein mila denge, and we will go to the ends of the world. We will not spare the terrorists, the backers, the perpetrators." And I think today the kind of reactions that are coming from the family members is evidence of the trust that the nation has, Colonel Agarwal.
Absolutely. I mean, you could, I saw that, speech by the Prime Minister when he made in Bihar. And there were two things which stood out. One was the sense of anger and outrage that he had, and the conviction that he has to take it to its final conclusion this time. And secondly, if you have noticed and if you recall, he made part of his speech in English.
Yes, yes. And he switched to English.
He switched to English and he addressed the world. And why? Because some nations are notorious in, translating and interpreting it wrongly. So he said there is no way that there can be any translating or interpretation or mistake. And his last sentence was, "till the end of the earth." So, that conviction, anger and outrage was very clear on day one. It took time for these things to evolve. And finally, the product or the demonstration which has happened last night vindicates the time and effort which was, taken in planning and execution.
Because you also have to be prepared for what's coming next. It's not just about, you striking and then you cannot not be ready for the challenges ahead, because there will be a response, which I believe we are already witnessing through these ceasefire, through how our civilians are being targeted at the LOC.
Absolutely. I mean, in any armed conflict and war, you cannot have a success rate of 100% and no damage to yourself. You have to be prepared. Enemies, you're not a fool. He is also professionally trained armed forces. They are professionally equipped. They will retaliate in whatever manner they have to. So, as in the armed forces, the nation also has to be prepared to accept damages and casualties when war breaks out.
Absolutely.
And on the line of control, it had been happening for last 12 days, but it has intensified to a great extent overnight. And I have seen some visuals of how the Pakistani bunkers have been blasted off across the LC. There are punitive strikes that are taking place through, direct firing missiles to the artillery, and Pakistanis are being battered. Yes, obviously, like I said, our civilians on the
are being impacted as well.
Right. Impacted.
Sir, I just want to interrupt you, because as we speak, there are some breaking developments coming to fore, and we are constantly updating that information on the screen. After Operation Sindoor, these are the developments post that. First time after Operation Sindoor, this is what transpired. India reached out to countries like Russia and China, and the NSA, Ajit Doval, spoke to Russian and China counterparts. That's what we're given to understand. So this is before, in fact, this action also. I think we have Pradeep Datta, if I can go to him. Pradeep, before the precision strikes as well, foreign diplomats were being continuously briefed. And now after the precision strikes, after Operation Sindoor, we're given to understand that NSA Ajit Doval spoke to Russia, China, and diplomatic advisor to French President Emmanuel Bon.
Yes, you rightly said that before this precision strike, India was in touch with the ambassadors of the different countries, and already an envoy were called. And the idea was basically India was trying to build the global opinion in its favor, and was trying to tell that why it is really important for India to defend itself and carry out attack, because they tried to show them the proof that they were having. Now, after the strike, once again, India has got in touch with all these people, trying to tell them, see, they did not target civilians, they did not target military, because they never wanted to climb on the escalation ladder. They only targeted terror infrastructure, and everybody knows, because those who are dealing with Pakistan, they know that this Muridke headquarter had been the Lashkar Toiba's terror den, and from here David Coleman Headley as well as Ajmal Kasab were trained. Those who had been knowing, those who have designated this person Masud Azhar as global terrorist, they know that Bawalpur had been one of their nerve center from where they used to operate, and this is from this place they planned several attacks, whether it was a parliament attack, whether it was Nagrota attack, whether it was Pathankot attack, whether it was the Pulwama bombing. So from here they used to plan with the help of Rawalpindi headquarters and inter-service intelligence. But now that has been raised to rubble. So the world has been conveyed by India. So why it was really important? Because they never wanted any kind of a collateral damage. That's one of the reasons they did not cross line of control or international borders. They simply tried to hit those terror den with precision because that's their right. Because at the end of the day, as a country, they have to ensure that their safety and citizen safety is really very important. So that Pakistan is not able to spill their blood, and for their safety, they had to take certain measures. Because if America can take, Israel can take, why India cannot take? How come you stop India? Already we have seen that the world's opinion had been in favor of India. Pakistan thought that this time, when India decided to freeze Indus Water Treaty, they thought that maybe the world will be crying horse, they will come out in favor of Pakistan. They said this, they will say that this is worst ever human rights violation. But nothing of that sort happened. Not a single country came out in favor of Pakistan, not a single country uttered a word, because they thought that maybe there will be hue and cry in the world. People will think that how come as an upper riparian you can stop water from moving down the stream to the lower riparian.
All weather allies have also not spoken, while the NSA has spoken to his Russian and Chinese counterpart. And one thing that has been made evident, Colonel Agarwal, by India is that the response was measured, like you said, non-escalatory, and India will continue to act and retaliate if Pakistan chooses to escalate the situation.
Absolutely. So 2 points are important. First is that India has struck only known, designated and identified terror infrastructure and camps. So no civilian, no military has been touched. So now how does Pakistan retaliate? We don't have any terror infrastructure or camps in our country. So what is that they are going to target? The second is India has maintained it very clearly that India retains the right to act against terror. And for that, whatever measures have to be taken, whatever means have to be taken, they're important. One more point, because we are talking about the diplomatic issues, you know, earlier what used to happen, especially before 26/11, Pakistan used to go running to the Arab countries and they used to, you know, extend solidarity and support to Pakistan. However, what has happened in last about 10-12 years, especially after Uri, Pathankot, you know, Pulwama, etc., they are not getting any support from the Arab world. The fact that among the 5 nations that India spoke about Operation Sindoor, 2 were Saudi Arabia and UAE.
Yes.
You know, speaks volumes about it, that how isolated Pakistan is. And I'll recall one more incident of 2019 when Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman was supposed to come to India. Normally, they used to come via Pakistan or go back via Pakistan to Saudi Arabia. That time, India made it clear, you will come directly from Saudi Arabia to India and go back. And again, it was one of the indicators that, you know, Pakistan does not enjoy the unconditional solidarity as a Muslim nation from very powerful and influential Arab countries.
Absolutely. In fact, Pradeep, if Pakistan today is isolated, it is because of its own acts of supporting terror, of providing a safe haven to terrorists. And if India today is in a position where it has this support and messages of solidarity pouring in, is because we worked on those diplomatic relations.
Yes, you're absolutely right, because earlier there used to be a saying that all roads lead to Rome, but over the period of time that saying has already changed. All roads lead to Pakistan when it comes to terror-related activities, whether it's directly or indirectly, because reason being that wherever any kind of a terror-related incident takes place, you'll find that there is somewhere the Pakistani connection. And now world is also knowing about this thing, and Pakistan can no more come out with that false narrative where they will try to project themselves as a goodbye kind of image. That's not really going to work. We have already seen this thing happening during United Nations Security Council consultation, that how the country snubbed Pakistan. Hardly anybody was with Pakistan except for the China and Turkey. I don't think that anybody is right now supporting Pakistan. So there are 197 countries in the world. Out of 197 countries, only 2 countries are supporting Pakistan, and Turkey has its own interest because they want to sell arms and ammunition to Pakistan, and that too at not that they're selling it at a very cheaper rate. They're charging more to Pakistan. And out of 49 Muslim countries, you'll find only one of the Muslim countries that is supporting, or 1 or 2 countries like Turkey as well as Bangladesh. But no else is supporting Pakistan at this stage. Reason being that they know that this country is always moving with a begging bowl, because you always love to be with a country that is really telling a good story, and they have hardly anything good to tell, because either they have beggars to send to the Saudi Arabia, and or they are moving themselves with a begging bowl, asking for more penny. And this time we have seen that how they were begging for peace, calling their allies, knocking at different doors, trying to tell them to convince India.
Reminds me of what their army chief said when he differentiated between Hindus and Muslims and said this is how different Hindus and Muslims are. This is the difference between India and Pakistan. But even those Muslim nations today are not standing with Pakistan. Before we continue our discussion, let's also listen to the excerpts from the press briefing that took place right after Operation Sindoor.
मरकज ताइबा मुरीद के आईबी से 18 से 25 किलोमीटर दूरी पर है। 2008 के मुंबई हमले के आतंकी भी यहीं से प्रशिक्षित हुए थे। अजमल कसब और डेविड हेडली भी यहाँ ट्रेन हुए थे। मरकज सुभान अल्लाह भावलपुर ये इंटरनेशनल बाउंड्री से 100 किलोमीटर दूर है। जैश ए मोहम्मद का मुख्यालय था। यहाँ पर रिक्रूटमेंट, ट्रेनिंग व इंडॉक्ट्रिनेशन का केंद्र भी था। शीर्ष आतंकी अक्सर यहाँ आते थे। मैं आप सबको बताना चाहती हूँ कि किसी भी सैन्य ठिकाने का निशाना नहीं बनाया गया और अभी तक किसी तरह की नागरिक क्षति की रिपोर्ट नहीं है।
That is the most important part of the briefing. किसी तरह की नागरिक क्षति नहीं हुई. Brigadier Anil Gupta is also joining us. No civilian casualties, no collateral damage, because India was very clear about its target, which were the terror dens. Brigadier Gupta, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Please go ahead.
You're very rightly you said India has chosen the targets very, I would say, with a lot of precision and detail. Precision attacks have been carried out to ensure that there's no collateral damage, because India's response has been non-escalatory. India does not want this to escalate beyond a limit. So therefore, very rightly, India selected only the terrorist camps and those locations which are related with terror, like the terror headquarters of the LET and also of the Hizbul Mujahideen somewhere in Muzaffarabad. So there are only headquarters which have been targeted, or the launch pads, or the training camps. So they are all terror-related targets, and that is why India says that their response is non-escalatory.
Absolutely. And, that is the most important thing, because Colonel Agarwal, even when the Prime Minister, after the Pahalgam attack happened, in his address, and it was a measured response, I would say, he focused on the fact that terrorists, perpetrators, their backers will not be spared. Even in that hour of crisis or grief, the Prime Minister's response was measured, and the target was very clear. The terrorists, the terror dens, and all the backers and perpetrators.
Absolutely. So from day one, our focus was very clear. We are not targeting the civilian or the military infrastructure, because we understand how the escalatory matrix can spiral out of control in no time. But if you are focused only on terror, and the world also sees it focused only on terror, then you have the upper hand and the advantage. And that is what we were discussing some time back, that right now the dilemma with Pakistan is what to do about this and how to react. We have made it very clear that it was only terror and nothing else that has been targeted. And the world is seeing the pictures and the videos which are coming out.
In fact, some of them we are playing out here. These are the terror camps that have been targeted.
Absolutely. So, Prime Minister, the political leadership, the military leadership, they were all in sync, and they were all together in choosing the target and the focus of the military. So, the military objective, as we call it in our military terms, was very clear and identified. Only the high-profile terror network has to be targeted. And we don't have the details, but the terrorist launch pads, which are within 2 to 5 kilometers of the LC, are being targeted right now by the Indian Army, which is deployed on the LC. So that's another story which is going on.
So the precision strikes, in fact, are proof of our capability and might. And I want to bring in Pradeep Datta back into the debate once again, because yes, all credit for the operation goes to our forces. This was a joint operation by the Army, Air Force and Navy. But Pradeep, today I'm reminded of the multiple statements that were made. Prime Minister said, mitti mein mila denge. The Home Minister said, chun chun ke marenge. The Raksha Mantri said, कि आप जो चाहते हैं मोदी के सरकार में वैसा ही होगा. It was not a जुमला, rhetoric नहीं था. Today we are witnessing that happening.
Yes, you are absolutely right. In fact, ever since Prime Minister made that assertion, mitti mein mila denge, we have seen that how his words were translated into action. He had already done it in 2016, he did it in 2019 also, and Pakistan was completely rattled. They knew that there is going to be strike from Indian side. That's why we must have heard that statement coming from the defense minister saying that within that any time they can target line of control. There will be an incursion from their side. Even their information minister just 3-4 days back, in the middle of the night, he gave a press briefing in which he said that within 24 to 36 hours there is a credible input they are having, and that India is going to strike and hit back on them. But India was looking for that surprise element, because the Prime Minister has already given a free hand to the armed forces, and he has told them that timing and the target will be chosen by you, and that is exactly what they did. And what is more important is that you can see the India's firepower. They had the Scalp missile. Scalp missile is very good for that. It can hit with precision any stationary target, and that's one of the reasons that Scalp missile was used for targeting these terror infrastructure and terror den. And then there is a Hammer missile. If it's again air to surface missile. So because
this blueprint of course was prepared by the forces, but the point that we are talking about, Pradeep, the political will and the intent is the most important, and that free hand was given, that political will and intent was made clear. We are getting some details about the cabinet meeting. This is what sources are telling us, that the defense minister briefed the cabinet on Operation Sindoor, and he spoke about what we were just discussing, the free hand that was given to the defense forces. He also praised Prime Minister's vision and leadership. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh said situation on the border is being monitored by our forces. He also praised the forces for commendable job. The Prime Minister appreciated ministers for not commenting on the issue for 10 to 15 days ahead of India's action. And this is exactly what we were just discussing, Colonel Agarwal, isn't it? The discreet manner in which it happened. Not letting anybody get a whiff of what is to come, the action that we are witnessing now. And of course, everybody was getting impatient. That was the mood of the nation when you wanted the government to answer some questions. An all-party meeting also happened right after the attack. Yes. Okay, before I take your response, we have Pragya joining us with details of what we just broke. So during the cabinet meeting, the Raksha Mantri appreciated, praised Prime Minister's vision and leadership, and of course, the credit goes to the forces. That's what he spoke about. Most importantly, the Prime Minister, Pragya, be given to understand, appreciated the ministers for not commenting on the issue.
Absolutely, Swati, and much of the decorum was maintained in the meeting. In fact, there was the cabinet issues and agendas that were discussed first, and after that, Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh was the first one, being the defense minister, to brief the cabinet colleagues on Operation Sindoor. And in fact, he had praised defense minister, he had praised defense forces, and not just that, he has also praised Prime Minister for his vision and for the leadership. Remember, the political will is very important, and this is exactly the sentiment of defense minister when he said that free will was given to the defense forces. And after that, Prime Minister also made a very short statement where he praised defense forces for achieving such a successful target of the terror hideouts. And in fact, Prime Minister said this is very successful one. And in fact, there was some kind of satisfaction on the faces of the Prime Minister and on the faces of all the cabinet colleagues as well. And in fact, on a lighter note, Prime Minister also appreciated all the cabinet colleagues for not making any statement regarding the issue of Pahalgam and also on anything on Pakistan. Because, if someone says something, that it becomes very important that statement is then reverberated in another country, neighboring country, Pakistan. So he also appreciated the fact that everyone, had that restraint, and in fact, this also helped the government to keep the strategy very close to the chest and to ensure that everything goes fine according to the strategy. So this is what we have gathered from our sources. This is what transpired in today's cabinet. But overall, mood was very. They were very. What I gathered from the sources was the mood was very something of a very is a pride of our you are very proud of our defense forces.
I think you can just sum up by saying Jai Hind and Jai Hind ki Sena. I think that's the mood, isn't it, Colonel Agarwal, in the entire country. Whenever you want your armed forces to act, they will never let you down. Proven once again.
Absolutely. So there are three things that we need to see. First is the political intent. The political intent was made very clear from the speech you just mentioned on 23rd April, and thereafter the political intent drove what has to happen. The second issue was that the military and the political leadership were in total sync. right from the first Cabinet Committee on Security to the meeting with the armed forces chiefs to individual meetings of Prime Minister with the Air Chief, Army Chief, Naval Chief, the CDS, etc. So there was an absolute sync between the political and the military leadership. And the third point that I want to say about this political leadership and intent is, we failed to see this when Parliament was attacked in 2001 December. We did not take any direct kinetic action when 26/11 happened. So, and even in Uri and Pathankot, we carried out surgical strikes just to avenge those particular strikes or those terrorist things that had happened. So Pakistan had always been under this illusion for last 25 years or more that they can get away with it with limited or little damage to them. This time the intent and the execution has clearly shown that, you know, that stage is over and it is done and dusted. Now there is no way that you can mess with India ever again. You can never dream of another Pahalgam. Even if you think about it, it will be taken out.
You will not be taken off the hook is the message.
Absolutely.
And you will have to pay for it. And that payback has already begun. Let's also listen to the excerpts once again of the press briefing that took place.
The attack was clearly driven by the objective of undermining the normalcy returning to Jammu and Kashmir. In particular, it was designed to impact the mainstay of the economy, tourism, with a record 23 million tourists visiting the valley last year. The manner of the attack was also driven by an objective of provoking communal discord, both in Jammu and Kashmir and the rest of the nation. It is to the credit of the government and the people of India that these designs were foiled. A group calling itself the Resistance Front has claimed responsibility for the attack. This group is a front for the UN-proscribed Pakistani terrorist group Lashkar-e-Taiba.
Brigadier Gupta continues to be with us. Normalcy was returning to Kashmir. The terrorists and of course their akas, as is said in Hindi, or their handlers in Pakistan were not able to digest that fact. Apart from that, the hidden agenda also was to wedge a divide, a communal divide between the communities here in India. That has failed. But that has exposed, you know, the tactics that Pakistan continues to rely on.
Swati, definitely. Pakistan has proved that it's a failed state. It's not only a failed state politically, it's a failed state bereft of ideas. Now, today's India's response has sent three messages very clearly to the global community and especially to India's enemies. That India today is now ready to respond to any challenge to its sovereignty or security using comprehensive national power. That is point one. Secondly, the Indian armed forces have absorbed and integrated technology, and today they can be called as high-tech, highly trained forces. And thirdly, the very concept of triad, where three services have been used for this response, points towards readiness of India of joint warfare and ultimately leading to the idea of integrated theater commands. Now, these three messages, I think the global world would have noted, and our enemies in any case would be shuddering because they have seen what India's comprehensive national power means. As far as your point is concerned, I fully agree with you. Pakistan has never been happy. They do not want peace in Kashmir. They do not want prosperity in Kashmir. They know that
All right, as we speak, we have some breaking inputs coming in. Spooked park stoops to another low. Civilians on target. Cowardly parks target are our civilians. Pakistan has resorted to unprovoked firing. I'm given to understand that Tetri is joining us on the broadcast. Tetri, civilians are being targeted by Pakistan. Where are you reporting from? What's the status?
Well, yes, let me tell you that we are reporting from Rajouri, and in fact here also there was late night ceasefire violation continuously from the side of Pakistan. In fact, first of all, let me show you the visuals. On my left hand side there is the POK from where continuously there were cross-border firing. Not just that, but the mortars were fired, the shells were, in fact there was entire night there was shelling, and in fact also the firing continued the entire night. However, because of which you can see the kind of damage the civilians had to face over here. What we are also getting to know is that, approximately 5 civilians were injured in this entire, ceasefire violation. We'll just try to go inside this particular house and try to gauge so as to what must have happened over here in the night. You can see in the visuals that just because of this shelling, here you can see that how this entire house is damaged. This channel gate, which is a very strong channel gate made up of iron, that is also completely damaged. This house, these you can also see these marks of the shells, because remember that when the mortars are fired, there are splinters that leave these such kind of marks. So you can see that the marks here on the walls are damaged, and not just the room from where we are reporting, but the damage could be seen in each and every room here at my right hand side as well. I would like to ask Amit ji to come this side. I would like to show the visuals of, it seems to be the bedroom of the family who has been staying over here, and it certainly was a very difficult time for all of them. Definitely this particular area has been evacuated now, but remember that what Pakistan has been doing, they are continuously targeting the civilians. And remember that Rajouri, this is not for the first time certainly, when there was a ceasefire violation in the past few days after the Pahalgam terror attack. There have been multiple ceasefire violations, not just at the LOC but also at the international borders as well, because also we reported and showed you that how was the situation at the last village over there near the international border, where the people were also prepared to face such kind of situation. And you can see that how the images are over here. Nobody is staying over here. People have left their houses. This seems to be an iron pipe, and in this also you can see that how there are these marks over here, which shows the kind of retaliation or in fact unprovoked firing the Pakistan has been doing over here since India launched Operation Sindoor. And in fact that's why now Pakistan seems to be completely rattled. Let me show you the visuals on my left hand side. Show there, Amiji, that's the POK, that's that side. And in fact from there only there was continuous firing, continuous shelling from that particular end, because of which the civilians had to face this kind of situation. And one thing what we are making clear, that it is India who targeted the terrorists. India targeted the terror camps. But Absolutely. What Pakistan has been doing, this is the picture of what Pakistan has been doing. Pakistan is targeting the innocent civilians, not just in this particular area, but in several areas that are close to LOC, that are close to the international border. Because the important thing to note over here is that there are certain areas which are very much easily visible, because at certain point of time there are posts of Pakistan which are at higher levels from where the houses of civilians could easily be seen. So that is very much clear. One fact is very much clear, that Pakistan is making such kind of deliberate attempts to target the civilians, because of which they have to leave, they are getting injured. And also we have been reporting from several areas so as to how they are violating again and again ceasefire, and not just that, but deliberately targeting the civilians. We also saw the reports from Uri that how Absolutely. The people are leaving their houses.
Yes, those visuals once again prove how Pakistan is resorting to these cowardly tactics, Colonel Agarwal, and targeting our civilians, not at the LOC after the precision strikes, but in Pahalgam also did the same.
Absolutely. So this comes as no surprise to me, because this is the standard practice which the cowardly Pakistan army has been doing. It is an act of desperation and frustration as far as they are concerned. So what is the easiest way to vent it out? To target the villages and houses which are near to the line of control, which are within their range. But in the last 10-12 days, the Indian Armed Forces, the Jammu Kashmir security forces have been actively collaborating with the civilians, and that is why you find that they have been vacated and they have been taken to safer areas, and we have not suffered any casualties. Coming to the Kashmir question, which we were discussing just before this report came in, you saw what Foreign Secretary was saying, that this act of Pahalgam was to sabotage the peace and prosperity that was coming into Kashmir. And I wrote about it the day after Pahalgam happened, that in last 2 years, lakhs and lakhs of tourists had come to Kashmir. This year, the Tulip Festival, which has been initiated a few years back, saw more than 2 lakh tourists who had come just to watch the Tulip Festival. The Vande Bharat train is about to start. It was supposed to start in February. It may start any time. You have higher education institutes coming up. You have Bollywood returning to Kashmir.
Yes.
So everything was happening in Kashmir.
The development and the true integration is something they couldn't digest.
2 years it had been happening, and going by the normal cycle, once the population gets used to prosperity, peace, and good life, it is very difficult to get it back to the conflict, kind of scene that we have seen in Kashmir for last decade. So it was very clear to me, at least, that had Pakistan not done anything in Kashmir this year, then Kashmir would have slipped out from their narrative forever. And for the state of Pakistan and the Pakistan Army and the ISI, Kashmir is their existential, ideology, and they could not have done it.
Well, the only issue that they always resort to when they have to give answers to their people, isn't it?
Absolutely.
About the internal crisis, about their failing economy.
You divert
just shift the focus to Kashmir and shift the focus to these cowardly tactics. I want to bring in Brigadier Gupta here. It's extremely important that we are discussing this, but the ugly truth or the reality also lies in the overground worker networks that are operating. And when they are picked up for investigation, yes, a lot of politics happens. We will not get into the politics that is happening. But the overground worker network, and we spoke to one of the former overground workers who says that they take directions and instructions from Pakistan and all kinds of help, from providing food and shelter to helping them go from one place to another, transport. Everything is taken care of. The logistical support comes in from the network.
Swati, it's well known that terrorism cannot survive without local support. They say terrorism without local support is like fish out of water. So local support has to be there, and the OGWs are the face of the local support. And they are more dangerous than the terrorists because they are sleeper cells. They are not very active, but they can cause a lot of damage. This terror ecosystem in Kashmir has become so bad and it's so deeply entrenched that if we want to finish terrorism from Jammu and Kashmir, we'll have to finish the terror ecosystem. OGWs, they need to be taken care of. No politics should be done as far as OGWs are concerned recently, because any action of the security forces being politicized by certain sections of the politicians in Kashmir. What happens? Pakistan takes advantage of that. Pakistan then shows to the world that Indian armed forces are carrying out, they are troubling the locals.
Yes.
They are carrying out indiscriminate firing, they're shooting down their houses and all, which is in fact not correct. These are OGWs who are as much part of terrorism as the terrorists are, and action needs to be taken against them. Because if we say OGW, he is helping the terrorists. Whether he is his father, mother or not, it's irrelated. As long as they are supporting terrorism, they need to suffer and they need to pay the price for that. Now, one thing I'd like to tell you, Pakistan has chosen a very, very bad response. They have once again chosen to target the civilians. They'll have to suffer, they'll have to pay a very heavy price for that. So far, हम घुसे नहीं हैं, बगैर घुसे इतना मारा है कि पुश्ते याद रखेंगी. पर अगर पाकिस्तान नहीं बाज आया, अगर पाकिस्तान नहीं सुधरा, तो ऐसी मार पड़ेगी कि पाकिस्तान का नामो निशान मिट जाएगा.
मुझे लग रहा है आप कहना चाह रहे हैं कि ट्रेलर, ये तो ट्रेलर है, पिक्चर अभी बाकी है.
याद रखना पड़ेगा उनको.
All right, sir. Before I go across to Pradeep Datta on this issue of overground worker network, how it operates, and why you're saying that it's more dangerous than the terrorists themselves, we have more breaking inputs coming in. And let me quickly tell our viewers about the inputs that we are breaking on the screen as well. India moves to globally isolate Pakistan. Now the NSA has reached out to global powers. NSA has briefed US, UK, Saudi, Japan. And NSA Ajit Doval has spoken to, like we earlier informed you, spoken to his Russian counterpart. French President Diplomatic Advisor has also been briefed. Chinese Foreign Minister has been briefed about the situation as well. And Pradeep continues to be with us. This is extremely important at the same time. So on one hand, when you are carrying out Operation Sindoor and precision strikes, it's also very important to isolate Pakistan globally, because Pakistan, remember, was boasting, Pradeep, about the fact that it got the reference of TRF dropped from the statement.
Yes, everybody knows that how they got that reference of TRF dropped from the United Nations Security Council press release. It was only because of the help that was provided to them by the permanent member China, and China had been only their friend in the world. The rest of the countries are not with Pakistan. And already India has been able to name and shame Pakistan and tell world that what kind of activity Pakistan is involved in. And right now also Ajit Doval, while he is interacting with different countries, he is trying to tell them that they had not hit any of the civilian infrastructure. They wanted to avoid all sorts of collateral damage. They never wanted to climb that ladder of escalation, and they have not targeted military installations also. They wanted to go after the target, and their target and Lakshya was terrorists, because they wanted to go after them, because they are the one who had been spilling blood of innocent people with the help of Pakistan's inter-service intelligence and Pakistan Army support. So that's why they wanted to decimate and demolish them. See, on one hand, there is a Pakistan strategy. You look at the approach of two countries. Pakistan believes in death, destruction and devastation. On the other hand, if you look at the approach of India, it's about demolition, decimation and dominance. So by demolishing and decimating their headquarters and den, India is showing its dominance in this region, that no matter what actually the activities will get involved in, but we are not going to leave you. That's what Prime Minister said. Mitti mein mila dunga. Home Minister said chun chun ke marunga, and Defence Minister said jo aapne sahi socha hai wo wahi hoke rahega. And that is the message that has already been conveyed, and we have seen the words have been translated into action, and already we have seen that how the precision strike was carried out. What is more important, Swati, is that this time they tried to hit the humiliated Pakistan, because if we talk about Pakistan Army, 80% of the Pakistan Army is from Punjab, and they have targeted the heart of Punjab. That means they have, and Shahbaz Sharif and Sharif brother, they're also from Punjab area, so they have got the house there. So they have targeted Punjab, they have humiliated them, they have said that we can hit you. It's not any other place in the Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Tomorrow anybody would have said POJK is part of Jammu and Kashmir, there's nothing if you have carried out attack there. But now I think the people will remember this attack forever, because they have hit inside the Pakistani heart of Lahore, that is Muridki, that is just only 25 kilometers away from international border. So that way they have humiliated Pakistan Army. So now Asim Munir, who was talking about two-nation theory, I think he was the one who created that problem, because see, look at the similarity between his statement and what he tried to do. When he carried out that Pahalgam attack, he was trying to sow seeds of discontent between the two communities. He was trying to widen fault line between Hindus and Muslims, but he didn't succeed, because at the end of the day, India is all about coexistence of different faith, and once again Indians have
and a very important development along with that, and Colonel Agarwal, before the world can actually preach us and say that, practice restraint, or the situation should not escalate, should not become an issue that dominates the entire region, India has made it clear that we are not looking to escalate the matter. But if Pakistan does not learn its lessons, and if Pakistan does anything that again challenges our sovereignty and the security of our nation, then India will respond.
Absolutely. So, this is what I said, political intent. It has been made very clear that India retains the right to act against terror. Today, we are not in the business of preparing huge folders and presenting it to US, China, Russia, United Nations, because it has not worked. So no more folders, no more, evidences. Terror strike has taken place. We retain the right to strike against terror, and that is what we have done. The most important thing amongst the statements or the talks that NSA Doval has had, I think, is with China. To China, this message would have been sent very loud and clear that this is what we have done. We meant business, and we consider it the end of it. If there is an escalation by Pakistan directly or cajoled by you, there will have to be a cost-benefit analysis that you have to do. And India will not hesitate in unleashing whatever it has to do. So China factor is an important factor, and NSA Doval, speaking to the Chinese foreign minister, sends out a very clear and strong signal for China to stay restrained and not get involved in, coaxing or coming into the trap of Pakistan. And
because Pakistan will go running to China.
Absolutely. So that's why I said amongst all the nations, NSA Doval speaking to China is a very significant thing.
And I also think, Brigadier Gupta, now that this has begun, and the intent is very clear, that not just the terrorists, but their backers, their perpetrators and sympathizers will also not be spared, is to perhaps, now carry out operation wiping all these elements. We were just speaking about the overground worker network, and you added your own, way that you see this issue, your analysis. Is it the right time, in fact, is my question, right time to ensure that we also eliminate these elements, the overground worker network completely? Is that even possible?
Absolutely. The overground worker network inside Kashmir, inside Jammu and Kashmir, inside India, and across the borders. The backers, what the Prime Minister referred to as backers. The backers across the border need to be taught a lesson and eliminated. The process has begun. The very fact that Muridika and Bahawalpur have been targeted, it's an indication of India's intent. India's intent is very clear that wherever you are, wherever you're hiding, we'll take you on. You cannot escape us. So that is what the message has gone loud and clear. And you will see that these things will now continue. It's not going to end here. Inside J&K, the operations are already started against the OGWs, and across the border, it will continue.
Absolutely. That is going to continue. Our coverage is also going to continue. Brigadier Gupta, Colonel Agarwal, Pradeep Datta will stay with us. In fact, let me hand it over to my colleague Shreya, who's also joining us on the broadcast. Over to you, Shreya.
Please no more.
जिन्होंने ये हमला किया है, उन आतंकियों को और इस हमले की साजिश रचने वालों को उनकी कल्पना से भी बड़ी सजा मिलेगी। अब आतंकियों की बची खुची जमीन को भी मिट्टी में मिलाने का समय आ गया है।
ये नरेंद्र मोदी सरकार है, किसी को बख्शा नहीं जाएगा। हर व्यक्ति को चुन चुन कर जवाब भी मिलेगा, जवाब भी लिया जाएगा।
Viewers, you are watching our continuous coverage of Operation Sindoor, a daring act, a daring revenge that has been carried out by the Indian Armed Forces, whether it's the Indian Army or the Indian Air Force or the Indian Navy, all three forces coming together to take charge of what is being called Operation Sindoor. On the broadcast, I am joined by my colleagues Pradeep Datta and Priyank Tripathi. They are on the ground taking stock of every development that is taking place. I'm also joined by Brigadier Anil Gupta. Brigadier Gupta, let me begin with you. There has been, of course, a lot of talk about how Pakistan would now respond, whether there's going to be a major escalation, retaliation. We are expecting the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Shehbaz Sharif, to hold a press conference in a short while from now. What do you expect? How do you think Pakistan can take this forward, considering the fact that perhaps alone they are very weak, but when we talk about the support that came in from China and Turkey, it still empowers them a bit?
Pakistan is coward. It's a coward country. It's a country of cowards, country of liars. It's moving around with a begging bowl. It's a beggar country. Now, what can Pakistan do? They can hit the civilians. They've already done it. What else can they do? They'll hit military targets. So we hit terrorist targets. We hit non-military targets. We made it very clear that we don't want to escalate. But if Pakistan intends to escalate and hit military targets and continues to hit our civilian targets, Pakistan will pay a very, very heavy price for it. Our second punch, first punch was against terror camps. Second punch is going to be much harder and will eliminate very, very high value targets of Pakistan military and Pakistan's industrial complex. Pakistan should be prepared for that. India is very clear. We do not want to escalate. But if Pakistan does not learn the lesson, if Pakistan wants to escalate, is Pakistan hell-bent upon escalating and carrying forward this fight, India will respond and will respond very, very, very strongly. So this is, I think Pakistan also knows it. And Pakistan today is it must be a dilemma now, what to do. Turkey and China can only provide a limited support. but it's the man behind the weapon which matters. Pakistan's morale is the boots. As it is, the people, the officers have been resigning.
Okay. Rightly said, Brigadier, that, Pakistan, of course, is a coward country, and how a major response that we are perhaps, anticipating that might not come, considering the kind of impact that Operation Sindoor has had on ground. But Priyank Tripathi, you are on the ground. You are, you have been in Jammu and Kashmir, tracking all the developments taking place there. What's the latest situation there? There was some activity there at the LOC as well, the villages surrounding the LOC. What is happening there right now?
See, certainly, Shreya, we are in Uri sector, and certainly this is the village which is very close to Kamalkot, which is the last village on the Indian side. At this Islamabad, where you can see the shops are certainly shut, only the media persons can be seen on the ground. There have been multiple houses which has also been bombed last night after the Pakistan started shelling into this particular zone. This is an important forest area with the strategical location is concerned, because right across these borders, approximately 70 degrees of the target, where what we can say is this area covered from the mountains, which has the Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. The line of control is also there. So yesterday, when the Indian forces attacked on the terror target, certainly the Pakistan got rattled, and there were multiple shell which was used, heavy mortar shells which were sent from the Pakistan side to the Indian side. 9 people have been injured in this particular sector, although in Jammu sector we know the casualty number has gone up to more than 10.
Okay.
At this moment, people are certainly afraid that the rattled Pakistan can once again attempt.
Priyank, I'm going to come back to you. Let me quickly take this breaking news that's coming in at the moment. This is the aftermath of India's precision strike today. IPL matches in Dharamshala, viewers, are now in doubt. Top IPL sources revealing to Times Now that the May 8th Delhi-Punjab match might be in doubt at the moment. BCCI is awaiting a go-ahead for the 8th May match in Dharamshala. That might be shifted to Mumbai is what we are getting to know. Let me quickly go across to my colleague Karishma, who's getting us more on this. Karishma, what more details do you have? Concerns there, valid concerns. What is happening right now as far as BCCI's decision is concerned?
Well, there are 2 matches in Dharamshala that will be played. One tomorrow, which is Delhi Capitals versus Punjab Kings, which is likely to be either cancelled or rescheduled, given how close Dharamshala, Kangra is to the border. In fact, it's just 60 kilometers away. So that is one. Then there is another match on the 11th of May, which is between Punjab Kings and Mumbai Indians. And what we're given to understand from our sources is that that match is going to be shifted to Mumbai, because the Dharamshala airport is closed till 10th May 5:29 a.m. So obviously changes had to be made, and that is what we are given to understand, that the match tomorrow is going to be in doubt. The BCCI is in touch with the Government of India, and they are awaiting clearance for tomorrow's match. As far as 11th May match is concerned, Punjab Kings will be travelling to Mumbai for the match, because there is no way that Mumbai can travel to Dharamshala now. They were to travel today and reach Dharamshala today, but that doesn't seem to be an option since the airport is closed till the 10th of May. So that match has been shifted to Mumbai for now. We are awaiting official communication from the BCCI and the IPL, of course, but our sources confirming these 2 developments to us.
All right, Karishma, thanks very much for joining us at the moment. We'll have to wait and watch what the final decision is on where these matches will be taking place. Of course, we will have to see what comes of that. But right now, let's also get to the breaking news coming in as far as the External Affairs Minister, Dr. Jaishankar's discussion with the Qatari leader is concerned. He said he's spoken with the Qatar Foreign Minister. He said discussed India's targeted and measured response to deter cross-border terrorism. So India basically reaching out to all the different countries who have been, talking about this entire concern about escalation, de-escalation, the tensions that have prevailed in the last few weeks between India and Pakistan. The External Affairs Minister now, of course, reaching out to Qatar as well. Pradeep Datta, this is, of course, once again an attempt by India to make sure that the right message and the truth goes out to the world, because obviously Pakistan will now work overtime to spread its propaganda and lies against what India has carried out.
Yes, Shay, you're absolutely right. Pakistan has already started doing that, started telling world that India has been aggressive. There have been unprovoked attack from their side, and India has targeted the civilian infrastructure. So India has already made it clear from word go that there was no civilian collateral damage, and only terror infrastructure has been targeted to just not to climb escalatory ladder. They have avoided even targeting any of the military structure. So that's what now they are trying to convey to the world also what reality is, and world also understand that Pakistan had been lying through their teeth. This is not first time they had been doing, because when Osama bin Laden was there in Abbottabad, they kept on telling world they have no idea about where Osama bin Laden is. They tried to in fact deceive United States of America, though they keep on claiming that they had been fighting a war against terror along with them, but nothing of that sort was there. In fact, they had been helping terror-related activities. So that's what actually India is trying to do. India has already done it before precision strike. We saw that how they built the political opinion. They had meetings with several envoys. Envoys were called. They were told about what actually India's stand is, because India has every right to defend itself, take out action against all those terror-related elements. And terror-related elements doesn't mean the foot soldiers and jihadis operating in Jammu and Kashmir, but they need to target, dismantle that fountainhead that is operating from Pakistan's side. So they will have to take some kind of kinetic measures. Those slew of measures were taken initially, diplomatic as well as economic measures, that brought almost Pakistan on knees, and now the kinetic measures are required. And finally, at 1 p.m. we saw that 1 a.m. we saw that how Indian armed forces were able to target 9 of the terror den. We saw that 25-minute operation, 24 missiles fired, 9 of the terror den decimated, demolished, and 60 terrorists killed. So that shows the perfection with which India carried out this strike. And I think this Pakistan is going to remember this forever, because they had been underestimating India. They thought that India will not do anything, but India said enough is enough. Mitti mein mila dunga assertion has been finally converted into action.
And the Mitti mein mila dunga entire assurance by the Prime Minister has been carried out in action. On the broadcast, let me also welcome Colonel Rajiv Agarwal, Senior Research Consultant at Chintan Research Foundation. But before I come to you, Colonel Agarwal, let me quickly take this breaking that is coming in. India is clearly moving to isolate Pakistan globally. The National Security Advisor has reached out to global powers as well as we speak, viewers. The NSA, Ajit Doval, has briefed US, UK, Saudi Arabia, Japan National Security Advisors. So he's reached out to his global counterparts, stating what India has done in a very precise and strategic manner. In fact, Ajit Doval has spoken with his Russian counterpart, the French president's diplomatic advisor as well. He's also briefed the Chinese foreign minister. So that is a very crucial link to this entire thing. Remember, China has been saying that Pakistan and India are its two neighbors and called for de-escalation. But simultaneously, we've also seen the Chinese ambassador reaching out to Pakistan administration after these strikes were carried out and, saying that we stand in solidarity with Pakistan. Colonel Agarwal, can I understand from you then, since we're talking about how the Indian NSA has reached out to his global counterparts, of course, there is a big concern about China and Turkey supporting Pakistan. They might not say it or be directly involved in the kind of confrontation that India and Pakistan face at the moment. But there is, of course, a lot of concern about how weapons and, ammunition have been used, made in China and made in Turkey. How do you see this moving forward now, considering, there is support?
So, Shreya, I mean, this is part of the whole of government approach that India has taken. So, right from the day 23rd April, the entire political and military leadership has been in close sync, absolute sync. So now that the military strikes have taken place, the diplomatic effort has to, take on mobilizing the global effort. And we have spoken not only to our trusted allies like US, UK, to strong Arab neighbors, and now we have seen that Qatari PM has also been spoken to. So 3 strong Arab nations, UAE, Saudi and Qatar. But to me, the most important is what NSA Doval has spoken to the Chinese foreign minister. He would have made things very clear that this was the intent, this was the execution, and we are not interested in escalating any further. And China, I don't think, will get directly involved in this stupid act that Pakistan had done on 22nd April. Pakistan will have to pay the price by itself. There might be some indirect support in terms of military equipment or Turkey providing the Bakhtiar drones, etc. That is to be expected. I mean, but out of 190 odd countries, like your reporter was saying, if 2 or 3 countries are supporting Pakistan, and, and the rest of the world is with India, we know where.
Let me take this across to my colleague Srinjoy Chaudhary, who's on the broadcast with us. Srinjoy, Will the Chinese side understand the fact that India has made this in self-defense, has carried out this very precise strategic targets, these strikes that it has carried out under Operation Sindoor for its self-defense, for the kind of absolute dastardly attack that Indian civilians had to go through on the 22nd of April? The NSA, of course, reaching out to his global counterparts.
Well, first of all, the Indian side, that is Ajit Doval, making it very clear that no military targets were hit, no civilian targets were hit, only terrorist camps were hit. And even the Chinese cannot have a problem with that. Besides, Ajit Doval and Wang Yi know each other for a long time. They have worked together, they have talked about the border for a long time. So at least there is an understanding between the two. It must be said, if you look at the list of countries, that Ajit Doval has spoken with all 5 P5 country representatives, which is quite something, all in the space of a couple of hours. And he has spoken, as it was rightly said, three countries from the Arab world, Saudi Arabia, UAE and Qatar. All three, of course, are friends of India. So 8 countries straight off. All 8 are extremely relevant at this point. And India's point is being made very clear that, look here, we are not interested in a war. We are not interested in hostilities. This is merely a reply, and a strong reply, to such a heinous terrorist attack. Something had to be done. We had to wipe out these terror camps. This is something Pakistan should have done. And what Ajit Doval told these people was that, look here, we waited for a fortnight. We hoped Pakistan would do something about it. And only when they didn't did we do what we had to do. So we are doing Pakistan's work is largely what Ajit Doval has told all his people here. His meeting with Marco Rubio happened because Rubio is now Secretary of State and National Security Advisor.
Yeah.
So 8 very fruitful meetings, and perhaps there will be more meetings in the near future.
Absolutely. So, of course, there are crucial statements that are coming in from different parts of the world. And let me get in Brigadier Anil Gupta on this. Brigadier Gupta, how do you see this then moving forward? Of course, India has been reaching out. India has had a diplomatic victory as well as far as the UNSC was concerned, where there was no statement. Pakistan did try an attempt to call for a crucial meeting there. That clearly did not, hold any significance. In fact, Pakistan had to face embarrassment with the kind of questions that it was asked at the UNSC, as 15 of those members, except China, did ask some very pertinent questions about Pakistan's involvement in terrorism. But, as far as global standing is concerned, how do you see this now moving forward? Countries, of course, calling for de-escalation as well.
Sure. Diplomacy is an essential element of comprehensive national power. And that is what India is doing now. Okay. Our diplomats and our External Affairs Minister, the National Security Advisor, they are in constant touch with the world powers and are briefing them of what has happened, India's intent, and what India will do if Pakistan does not behave even now. They are making very clear to them. So this is one part. As far as Pakistan is concerned, it stands alone. What happened in UNSC is well known. It was a big slap on the face of Pakistan. It asked for a closed-door meeting, but had to suffer humiliation. Humiliation extent that whatever Pakistan wanted was not agreed to. It could only manage that the name of TRF was taken away from the resolution because of China. Today, Pakistan is isolated. Other than China and Turkey, there's nobody backing China and nobody backing Pakistan. Whereas India has the backing of almost the entire global community. That's a big change. And it's a big change because the global community has faith in India, India's leadership, India's capability. They know what India can do, what role India can play in global affairs. So therefore, India standing today is to such a large extent, is at a high pedestal, that Pakistan is half-bitten because of that only. Now, whatever is left has been given strong reply has been given to Pakistan.
Yeah.
And I keep saying that if Pakistan doesn't get a lesson from it.
Okay. Let me also quickly play out Himanshi Narwal, the widow of Lieutenant Vinay Narwal there, after this entire attack took place, entire strike took place under Operation Sindoor. Listen into what she had to say.
क्या कहेंगी इसको लेकर आप?
मैं यही कहना चाहूँगी कि मेरे हस्बैंड ने ही वॉज इन द डिफेंस फोर्सेज एंड यू नो व्हेन ही हैड जॉइन्ड द डिफेंस फोर्सेज वो यही चाहता था दैट ही वांटेड टू प्रोटेक्ट द पीस इन दिस कंट्री. ही वांटेड टू मेक श्योर दैट इनोसेंट लाइव्स आर नॉट गॉन इन दिस कंट्री. ही वांटेड टू मेक श्योर दैट देयर इज नो हेट्रेड एंड टेरर इन दिस कंट्री एंड दिस ऑपरेशन signifies his spirit that there will terrorism, hatred will not be tolerated by the Indian government. And I'm thankful to the Indian government that they've taken this operation, but I also request them to not end it here. I want them to make sure that this is just the start of end of terrorism in our country, so that no one ever has to go through what I am going through right now.
हिमांशु, इस ऑपरेशन को ऑपरेशन सिंदूर नाम दिया गया था. क्या कहेंगी इस नाम के ऊपर, जिस तरह से ऑपरेशन सिंदूर नाम दिया गया? दो महिलाओं को, महिला अधिकारियों को इस पूरे कमांड में रखा गया, इस पूरे ऑपरेशन में रखा गया.
मैं तो इस नाम से बहुत ज़्यादा रिलेट कर सकती हूँ बिकॉज ऑफ दिस इंसिडेंट मैंने तो अपनी ज़िंदगी खो दी है एक, और अभी शायद किसी को नहीं पता कि मैं व्हाट एम आई गोइंग थ्रू एंड नोबडी कैन रिलेट टू इट बिकॉज इट्स ओनली मी हु हैज़ गॉन थ्रू दैट. तो ये नाम बहुत सही है क्योंकि इस इंसिडेंट की वजह से बहुत औरतों ने, बहुत बहनों ने, बहुत माँओं ने अपनी जान खोई है, अपना एक हिस्सा खो दिया है. तो ये नाम एकदम सही है, बट आई ऑल्सो होप कि ऐसा ऑपरेशन कभी दोबारा करने की.
मेरे मीडिया के दोस्तों और सारे प्रिंट मीडिया के भी मेरे भाइयों, आज हमने वर्किंग कमेटी मीटिंग बुलाई थी इसीलिए कि ये जो हमारे देश में घटना घटी है और जो सरकार कदम उठा रही है और उसी के साथ हमारे भारतीय सशस्त्र बलों पर भी हम गर्व करते हैं जिन्होंने ऑपरेशन सिंदूर तहत पाकिस्तान और पाकिस्तान ऑक्युपाइड कश्मीर के आतंकी ठिकानों पर साहसिक और निर्णायक कार्रवाई करते हुए मुंहतोड़ जवाब दिया है. हम अपने जांबाज सैनिकों के साहस, दृढ़ संकल्प और राष्ट्रभक्ति को सलाम करते हैं. पहलगाम में हुए आतंकी हमले के दिन से ही भारतीय राष्ट्रीय कांग्रेस ने साफ तौर पर सशस्त्र बलों और सरकार के साथ एकजुटता से खड़े होकर सीमा पार आतंकवाद के खिलाफ हर निर्णायक कार्रवाई का समर्थन किया था. पाकिस्तान और पाक अधिकृत कश्मीर से उत्पन्न होने वाले आतंकवाद के सभी रूपों के विरुद्ध भारत की राष्ट्रीय नीति बहुत स्पष्ट और अडिग है. महान भारत देश की राष्ट्रीय एकता और अखंडता की रक्षा के लिए सभी स्तर पर एकजुटता की सर्वाधिक जरूरत है. भारतीय राष्ट्रीय कांग्रेस देश के वीर जवानों के साथ कंधे से कंधे मिलाकर खड़ी है. इतिहास गवाह है कि हमारे नायकों ने हमेशा राष्ट्रीय हित का सर्वोपरि ऊपर रखते हुए देश की एकता और अखंडता के लिए अपनी शहादत तक दी है, सारे देश और दुनिया को मालूम है। और एक चीज, हम पूरी अपनी ताकत हमारे सैनिकों को देंगे, देश के रक्षा के लिए, देश में एकता रखने के लिए, हमारी आज़ादी महफूज रखने के लिए हम पूरा समर्थन दे रहे हैं। और जो इस मुद्दे पे कोई भेदभाव नहीं है, एकजुट होकर हम कर रहे हैं। और इसी तरीके से इंडिया अलायंस के लोग भी अपने अपने जगह पे ये कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि देश की रक्षा के लिए हम सभी एक होकर काम करें। तो इसलिए आज मीटिंग हमारी हुई और उस मीटिंग में ये सब तय हुआ कि फिर से एक बार हम रीट्रेट करना चाहते हैं, क्योंकि लास्ट हमारे वर्किंग कमेटी में ही हम सारी बातें बोले थे। आज भी फिर हम वो बात दोहराए और राहुल गांधी जी, प्रियंका गांधी जी और हमारे वर्किंग कमेटी के जितने भी मेंबर्स हैं, एक ही राय से हम बाहर आए हैं और यही हमने मुद्दा रखा था। सभी ने इसको सपोर्ट किया और मैं रिक्वेस्ट करता हूं, राहुल गांधी जी आपके सामने दो बात रखें।
वर्किंग कमेटी में हमारा डिस्कशन हुआ, पूरा समर्थन, फुल सपोर्ट टू आवर फोर्सेस, बेस्ट विशेस टू देम, much love to them, complete support from the Congress party and the Congress working committee.
Thank you.
Sir, all party meet बुलाई गई है।
We've been invited, we got a call today, we've been invited to the all party meeting tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
No, not saying
Mrs. Mallikarjun Kharge as well as Rahul Gandhi holding that press conference, of course, saying that we stand with the armed forces of our country, with the government as well, and that we salute the bravery of our heroes. In fact, also reiterating that we had vowed support with the government and for action against Pakistan-sponsored terrorism from day one, and that we are proud of our forces. Those encouraging words, of course, coming in from the opposition. Colonel Agarwal, quickly to you. Of course, this is, since the past several weeks, Congress leaders have made some very startling remarks as well, but today is not the day for that, and clearly the opposition showing that we stand solidly with the government in the kind of action that they have taken against Pakistan-sponsored terrorism.
Absolutely. I mean, this was expected, and even on the first day after the Pahalgam took place, the entire opposition and the political class had come together to stand with the government and the military. And today, I mean, in whatever form it has been said, it's a good thing that there's a political unanimity as far as the sovereignty and national security of India is concerned.
Yeah.
But what was more important was, the brave lady who spoke just before the Congress press conference. I mean, you could sense the enormity of the entire thing that is, dawning upon not only her and the nation. And two things that she said: nobody should ever have to undergo what I had to undergo.
Colonel Agarwal, apologies for intervening right now, but we're getting in these visuals. These viewers are fresh evidence of Pakistan-sponsored terrorism, the dreaded terrorists who've been killed in Indian strikes. Pakistan police and ISI sleuths are attending the funeral of these terrorists. Remember, Pakistan remains true to its character. It is mourning the deaths of terrorists. As expected, terrorist Yaqub Mughal was eliminated. His funeral service held in Pakistan. And this is, viewers, the impact of India's strike on Pakistan. Those visuals, as you can see, ISI officials as well as Pakistan police personnel attending the funeral of a terrorist. And that funeral, ladies and gentlemen, is living proof, is visual evidence of where Pakistan stands today, and revalidates what India has been reiterating time and again, that Pakistan does sponsor terrorism. it perpetrates terrorism on its soil. My colleague Pradeep Datta is with us. Pradeep, you know, these visuals that are coming out of Pakistan today, one, reflect the impact of Indian targeted precision strikes. It also reflects where Pakistan stands today as far as terrorism is concerned. It can lie as much as it wants, but the visuals do not lie.
Yes, visuals narrate the whole story. You rightly said that this also narrates the story of impact, that how Indian security forces, armed personnel, they were able to decimate this headquarter also in Muzaffarabad area. He was one of the heads of Bilal terror training camp in Muzaffarabad. He has also died in that strike. But yes, you are rightly saying that Pakistan often keeps on telling the world that they are only providing moral support to the Kashmiris. They are nowhere involved in terror-related activity. Neither their soil is being used by terrorists. But here you can see the terrorist is getting killed. And who are the people present in the funeral procession? You can see men in uniform, ISI salute, police personnel. See, all of them are there. That clearly indicates Zebra cannot change its stripes, so the Pakistan cannot change its strategy of aiding, abetting, sponsoring terror. And that's what they are doing. And here you can see the lines get blurred when it comes to terror organization. You'll find that security force personnel as well as terror organization one and the same thing. And that's one of the reasons that Hashim Musa, he was one of those commandos of SSG who is responsible for the Pahalgam attack, and he was part of the Pakistan army, and he later on joined the Lashkar-e-Toiba outfit. That clearly indicates that how Pakistan army and Pakistan terror organization, they are the two sides of the same coin.
Absolutely. You know, Colonel Agarwal, does it surprise you? This is a country which refused to take back its own personnel that were killed in action, and here's a country that is now attending and mourning the death of terrorists.
I mean, how more pathetic can it get? You know, it just proves how closely interwoven the state machinery and the terror is within Pakistan. And like you said, Kargil war, it is so fresh in my memory that they refused to take their own soldiers. Not terrorists, but own soldiers. And Indian army had to carry out their funeral and other ceremonies, giving them full, you know, honor as a soldier. So this is what is the reality of Pakistan. And the sad part is they are living this reality, not realizing what path they are going down.
Absolutely.
The good part is that reports suggest that population within Pakistan has started questioning what Asim Munir is up to. You know, so maybe some good sense will prevail, but you know, in short term, I don't think ye sudharne wale hain.
Absolutely, and that is of course reflective in their actions. But I believe, Colonel Agarwal, you have to leave, so I'll let you go. Thank you very much for joining us on Times Now and helping us get a better perspective. Right now, viewers, I'm also joined by Wing Commander Satish Sharma, ex-India advisor at the UN headquarters, as well as Mr. RSN Singh. He's an author. Good evening and namaskar to both of you. Wing Commander Satish Sharma, to you first. You know, these visuals, of course, that are coming out of Pakistan suggest the kind of reality that India has been speaking about when it comes to Pakistan today, of course, also translating it in action as far as Operation Sindoor is concerned. But how do you see this moving forward? Pakistan has been saying we'll retaliate at the time and place of our choosing. Does it have the wherewithal? Can it do what it is saying at the moment?
See, as far as Pakistan is concerned, these all rituals what they are doing, they are not doing anything new. It is a direct acknowledgement. And basically, it is a sponsor, a terror-sponsored state. We have been raising this issue, and we have conveyed to the whole world what exactly is the Pakistan. It has been not a safe hideouts, but it has been the factory of all terror and terrorism. So that is what they are doing. And as far as the India's position is concerned, the Operation Sindoor, it has been was very much measured, non-escalating, and proportionate to what was considerable restraint we have taken, and very much carefully chosen the targets, and the attrition rate is 100%. So what is needed today is for Pakistan, whether they are accepting it, what they are now howling or they are propagating that they will retaliate. Let me tell you right now, India is well prepared. As far as our defense forces are concerned, our technological upgradation is there. The Indian Air Force today in the whole world stands at number 3. So what we have done, the stealth technology, we have used the precision guided munitions and very well coordinated. Basically, the Pakistan agencies, the defense is failed literally as far as keeping their area intact. Air defense passes was there. We have used the zaps to make the street away so that all missiles are fired through the Rafale, very much prominent aircraft.
Okay,
Mr.
Singh.
In a nutshell, we can say that today, what Pakistan, we have exposed Pakistan and what they are doing, what they are showing, and literally it was needed that India has conveyed to the world that we are very much, we had been defensive, but this much offensive was our birthright, and we have rightly retaliated.
Sure. You know, RSN Singh, you know, what's also interesting is how India has come out differently this time around with its precision strikes, considering that it had point-by-point evidence of what the armed forces did as far as terror camps are concerned. Last time around, you know, there were many who were questioning the armed forces, whether it was the Balakot strike or the Uri strike. They were questioning, asking for proof. This time around, very, you know, sharp press conference that happened with the two women as well as Mr. Vikram Misri. And of course, you know, sending out that message that here's the evidence that the world has been asking for. Do not question us because we're always speaking the truth.
No, last time the questioning was done because people had got used to this cycle of terror and talks. And, Mr. Modi broke that cycle. So there was questioning, you know. So now that that issue has settled, there is no more questioning on what has happened in the latest strike by the Indian Armed Forces. And let me tell you, it was not... we have taken a larger perspective this time. It's not just a retribution or a reaction to Pahalgam. If you heard the briefing by the two lady officers, they recounted right from 26/11 and Pathankot and various staging areas, staging posts that were used for Pathankot and 26/11 and other terrorist attacks, and accordingly they have been targeted.
Okay.
So this time it is not just a retaliation or an immediate response, but it is we are moving towards a solution, and that solution lies in the change to effect a behavioral change in Pakistan. If it doesn't do so, I'm sorry to say it will not remain or exist as a state.
Okay, Wing Commander, I know you want to make a point. I'll come back to you, but let's also tell our viewers that Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh, viewers, is all set to visit the Poonch sector. Rajnath Singh is expected to take stock of the situation there. Remember, the Defence Minister will visit the villages that have been shelled by Pakistan at the LOC. So that's the latest that's coming in as far as government action is concerned. Remember, there have been multiple hectic parleys that have been going on in the national capital since morning. And right now, what we are getting to know is that the Defence Minister will be visiting those particular villages along the LOC, especially in the Poonch sector that have been shelled by Pakistan. Pradeep, what more details do you have of this?
See, before cabinet meeting, there was a meeting between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Defence Minister Rajnath Singh. During that meeting, he gave details about the situation there on the ground, how Pakistan is trying to escalate the situation so far as line of control is concerned. Because line of control is completely hot right from Poonch sector to Uri sector. And we have seen that Pakistan is completely adaptable ever since the strike has taken place, Operation Sindoor. And they are trying to target civilian areas. Many civilians have lost their lives and some of them are said to be critically injured. And it was during that meeting, Prime Minister told Rajnath Rajnath Singh that a strong message is to be sent to Pakistan that if any of the posts that is trying to target our areas, that posts need to be completely decimated. You don't go for tit-for-tat response, but the commanders should be told on the ground that they should go for punitive action. And after that meeting, that Rajnath Singh said that he will be visiting this area, and he will try to review the situation there on the ground, boost morale of the troops, and also see that the people do not face any kind of a problem. Because reason is that the Pakistan army cannot match might of Indian military. That's one of the reasons that they're always looking for the soft targets. And this time the soft target are people putting up a long line of control, and they are trying to target them. And the same Pakistan keeps on giving sermons about human rights violations. Somebody should ask them, is this not the human rights violation? Because many of these houses that are being targeted by their artillery are far away from the military installation. So there is no sense that you are targeting those places. That clearly indicate that this is basically deliberately you are targeting, not an accidental fire that is hitting any of the buildings there.
That's right. Wing Commander Satish Sharma, you wanted to make a point, of course, the fact that the government has been reaching out to the villages that have been shelled by Pakistan also, of course, sends out a message that the government stands strongly with its citizens. But yes, go ahead. You wanted to make a point.
Yeah, there was an issue which was raised that some of the political party in our country, maybe disgruntled lots or gaining some cheap mileage, they had asked the proofs last time in Balakot strike. So let me make it very clear. I was the joint director of the satellite used in this operation. So I have given those proofs right there, what exactly the Indian forces have done and how we have neutralized the Balakot, all hideouts, whatever was there. So similarly, this time also, making a passage, entering into Pakistan, that too 4 hideouts in actual Pakistan, the Punjabi areas, Punjab, Sindh, Prants, and the remaining 5 in POK. This has been the professionalism displayed by neutralizing the air defense facilities, entire air defense facilities of the Pakistan forces, their border, and whatever they had. We were well equipped from the Igla to the S-400. So now the situation is very much volatile. As Pakistan is concerned, it is a nuisance. They would definitely like to make some or the other issues. That is why we have issued the orders, all our border areas, especially the air tarmacs, all our airports have been closed. And why? Because this is a seamless country. They can fire it even on our passenger aircraft. That is the reason. This is the precautions we are taking. I have been the passive air defense commander. So in case of any bombardment, any kind of attack, whether it comes through a missile or some other meanings, we are preparing our country so that the defensive action also pays and there is no collateral damage to the Indian territory.
Okay. Let's also get you this breaking news that's coming in at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. This one's coming from the South Bloc. All UNSC countries have been invited to the South Bloc. Remember, at the moment, Vikram Misri, the Foreign Secretary, is briefing the UNSC country representatives on what India has done. Let me quickly go across to my colleague Rishabh. Rishabh, what more details do you have? A lot transpiring as far as diplomacy is concerned.
Well, sure, we broke this news yesterday that how MEA has been tasked to ensure that whenever the strike happens, whenever the retaliation happens from India, how to ensure the global understanding about India's position. And today, when the strikes have happened, now what we are given to understand that here at South Bloc, the MEA headquarters, all the UNSC envoys, minus Pakistan, have been invited, and Vikram Misri, the Foreign Secretary, is currently briefing them on India's position and how and what India did overnight, the 6th and 7th of May. So in a way, very clearly, India sending out the message loud and clear to UNSC and ensure that though India is not part of UNSC, India's position echoes well within the closed-door meetings that Pakistan will definitely be trying to bring in again. The way they brought in one meeting day before yesterday, where they were cornered themselves when the UNSC members started asking them tough questions over Pakistan's involvement with terrorism, how Pakistani soil was being used for terror launch pads and at all. So the way India's diplomacy from here on works is very clear that we will ensure that our voices are heard at every global platform.
That's right. Rishabh, thanks very much for joining us at the moment, getting us those details. RSN Singh, very important point that Rishabh made, that India might not be part of the permanent or non-permanent members at the moment of the UNSC, but its diplomacy, its good offices have worked at a global forum like the United Nations. Considering the fact that Pakistan did call for a meeting, no statement came out after that from the member countries. In fact, what we got to know was the 5 permanent members, US, UK, France, Italy and China, at least barring China, the others had questioned Pakistan on why terror perpetrates from its soil and the kind of terror camps that are prevailing on its soil. So that clearly is a victory for Indian diplomacy, with the kind of, work that Indian diplomacy has been doing since this attack happened. The Prime Minister and the External Affairs Minister, along with the NSA, reaching out to different countries and making sure that the truth is stated in front of them.
No, apart from truth, it is also the geopolitical heft that you enjoy on the world arena, in the international arena. And that is the outcome of excellent diplomacy, which was very much visible even during the Russia-Ukraine conflict. We took sides on the merit of issues, on the merit of our own interests, and the world respected us for that. And we were no more vulnerable. I compare it to 1971, though comparisons are odious. But nevertheless, you remember Mrs. Gandhi, she had gone on a whirlwind world tour, to garner support. And those were the Cold War years. And in those Cold War years, the countries were in two opposite camps. So it was relatively easier. But this time, the entire world, and I'm surprised even at the Chinese, posturing on this whole issue. It is not at all belligerent. In fact, they are talking of restraint, and they have they have offered to lend their good offices for mediation, etc., etc. And so has most of the world. Yeah. So this is your geopolitical heft, and mind you, this geopolitical heft cannot be without good diplomacy, without your own economic strength. Right. So there's the reality, and we as an Indian should be very proud of this. Very proud of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that is a lot of hard work, a lot of strategic play when we talk about Indian diplomacy in the past few weeks. But let's also get in this breaking news that's coming in at the moment, viewers. After Pakistan, China's fakery has been fact-checked. China's mouthpiece, remember, has been spreading canards. India has now fact-checked the Chinese mouthpiece. India's word of caution for Global Times, saying verify your facts and cross-examine first. The Embassy of India in Beijing, remember, had a big message saying stop spreading disinformation. Rishabh, this is not new that we are seeing from Global Times, the Chinese mouthpiece. Time and again, it publishes articles against India, spreading misinformation and spreading its own narrative. This time around, of course, India making sure that it fact-checks the Chinese mouthpiece and makes sure that disinformation is not spread.
Well, when it is your equipment, your aircraft being used by Pakistan, you ought to, spread the same propaganda that Pakistan is using, because you also have to sell your equipment to the rest of the world as well. And that's the reason that, that article came in Global Times. But now, as we are speaking here at South Block, the headquarters for External Affairs Ministry, Chinese ambassador himself is also inside. He's also being briefed by Foreign Secretary. He's also being given the proof of why exactly India had to take this step. The way in the press conference earlier today, Shreya, the way 27-minute press conference, the video proofs were shown that how and what India had struck this overnight. It was very clear. And it was precision strike, and the way the lady officers briefed it, that how they made sure that the civilians are not targeted, civilians are not harmed, also to ensure that no infrastructure of Pakistan is harmed. It's only terror launch pads, terror hideouts and their locations that were targeted and destroyed with precision. 9 targets is what we are given to understand. 25 hits, 9 targets. and within 20-25 minutes the operation was over. 7 targets hit by Army, 2 by Air Force. Yes, there were certain articles that came in Global Times or many Pakistani outlets trying to undo what India has done or try to demean what India has done, but India made sure that its stand is clear, loud, and it is communicated well to the world, and that's the reason that this meeting is happening also. UNSC is, as we have been pointing out, that India is not a part of UNSC right now, but we saw the day before yesterday that how India made it very clear at UNSC with the help of its allies and friends, be it Russia, be it Greece, be it Albania, Algeria, that India's word is put forward and stick to, and that's the reason that Pakistan got rattled at UNSC as well.
That's right, Rishabh. India has been making sure that the right kind of truth, the right kind of facts go out into the world. And Wing Commander Satish Sharma, it's not just the Chinese mouthpiece. We've had Western media in the past few weeks as well using terms that shouldn't have been used, something like a shootout for a plain terror attack, something like a militant for a person who's a terrorist. So there have been, certain sections of the Western media as well, apart from, of course, the Pakistani propaganda handles on social media that have been spreading misinformation or deliberately spreading their propaganda. That, of course, one by one is being countered now by India as far as social media war is concerned, because that is also a front that one has to deal with at the moment.
See, so there is a pragmatic change as far as our foreign policy is concerned and projecting India's viewpoint at the world arena. I had been India's advisor in UN headquarters, so I'm aware as precisely the world was taking a lenient view and Pakistan always was making is a two-way party, always. And J&K was the only issue where entire political parties of the Pakistan were surviving. So basically, propaganda, psychological warfare, or spreading the false news narratives, this had been a part of the Western media also, in that including some certain NATO countries, and even earlier, this was also one of the area of the US. But now, situation had changed. And why it had changed? Because we have rightly put through our viewpoint and made it point clear that this is the changed India. It's not the old one where each and every terrorist attack, we used to go and cry in front of the United Nations that the Pakistan has done this to us. So this psychology and this trend has been changed when the BJP took over, especially Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So it has made a drastic change, and the upgradation of our armed forces, equipping them rightly. That is why loitering munitions is used in tonight's strike, what we have made pinpoint targeting. So this 9 targets and what the 25 hits has been done, it was a very rightly coordinated, and the precision munitions was used. But what you are talking about, the propaganda, of course, it has been, and it's not only China. China is now succumbed to the pressure of what exactly we have been doing, and we have exposed the Chinese hidden policy also. I have been the part of Chinese policies, drafting the policies 25 years before. So the reason is, China, we will never believe. There is nothing like Hindi Chini, bye-bye. The time has changed. So we have to show the real our face to China also in the time to come. But today's this volatile situation in Pakistan, and what their reaction is, our defense forces, our country and countrymen all are well prepared for any kind of move what Pakistan takes on India.
Okay. RSN Singh, of course, one of the key things that came out from the press conference today was also the fact that there were several other terror launch pads or camps or training centers that the Indian Armed Forces have identified on Pakistani soil. And those perhaps will be targeted next. We don't know. We don't know anything about what will happen as far as the plan ahead is concerned. But just, how there is speculation and word that this is the phase 1 of Operation Sindoor and there might be more. What are your expectations? How do you see this moving forward?
See, as far as India's position is concerned, no doubt, today
I'll come back to you, Wing Commander. This was for Arisan Singh.
Okay.
Yes. What happens from here now? We have targeted the Lashkar-e-Toiba at Murdike. We have targeted the Jaish-e-Mohammed headquarters in Bhawanpur. We have targeted the so-called launch pads. But remember one thing. When people talk of launch pads, what was the launch pad for 26/11? Wasn't it Karachi? So the whole of Pakistan is a launch pad, isn't it? And to that extent, the whole of Pakistan, and please for God's sake, I don't want to make any distinction between the jihadis and the military. The military is also a jihadi military. And I also don't want to make, too much of distinction between the, a large segment of the populace which endorses this kind of, philosophy as far as jihadi warfare is concerned. If it had no public support, by now it would have died. Now remember 2001, when 26/11 happened, and after that, when the Americans came in, and Musharraf gave a 62 minutes talk on radio Pakistan to his countrymen. And he promised that all madrasas, churning out these jihadis, will be closed down. But did it happen? No. So therefore, what we are going through, or the biggest challenge before us, that how do we define our objectives so that we secure our country against Pakistan, against jihadism, on any enduring basis. That is the biggest challenge before us. And when we can talk on this, it is the physical intervention we have done. Your enemy may react, and he will react. He will react, but it is to be seen in what form he reacts.
Okay, Mr. Singh, I'll come back to you. Let me quickly go across to my colleague Rishabh. Rishabh is, of course, outside the South Block, viewers, and you can see those visuals, of course. All of those envoys of the UNSC member countries had been invited to South Block. The Foreign Secretary had given them a briefing. That meeting now, I believe, has concluded. Rishabh, what's happening there? I see the envoys leaving. Anything on what happened, what transpired in that meeting with the Indian Foreign Secretary?
Shreya, very, very important visuals on your screen right now. If you can see the Russian ambassador Alipov, as well as Chinese ambassador. Along with them are, you can see the South Korean ambassador as well in your frame right now. There are other UNSC members also coming out. The briefing by the Foreign Secretary had just gotten over, is what we are given to understand, and these envoys are coming one after another. You can see now the cavalcade of the envoys now moving towards South Block. All the envoys are now leaving the South Block. In your screens right now, you can see one after another. You will find the envoys. The South Korean ambassador is leaving. So is the Russian and Chinese. You'll have the Denmark. You will have Algeria. You will have Guyana. You have others as well. Panama, Sierra Leone, Slovenia, and Somalia. These are the ambassadors who have been called. So basically all the ambassadors from UNSC except Pakistan reached South Block, the headquarters of External Affairs Ministry, and you can see one after another. You can see the Algerian ambassador now leaving the South Block, others also coming in, and one after another on your screens right now are the envoys. What we're given to understand that India has put forward the proof of terror, terrorism that is, that is being coming in from Pakistan, and the cross-border terrorism that we are facing for years from Pakistan is something that has now been put forward. Remember when the press conference began today by the Foreign Secretary, it began with the whole, discussion over how, how the Parliament attack happened, how the Akshardham attack happened, how the 26/11 happened, how Uri happened, how Pulwama happened, how Pathankot happened, and then how Pahalgam happened. So now India is very clear. Enough is enough. We have hit militarily, we are hitting them.
That's right, Rishabh. Let's also tell our viewers those visuals, of course, were of the Russian ambassador to India leaving the South Bloc. Of course, there are other countries as well, whether it's the 5 permanent members or the 10 non-permanent members of the UNSC at the moment. Barring Pakistan, there have been all the envoys who visited the South Bloc, had that significant meeting with the Foreign Secretary, the Government of India, briefing all of these ambassadors of the UNSC member countries as far as Operation Sindoor is concerned. Rishabh, what's also important to note here is that, the kind of diplomacy that India has been carrying out since this attack happened reflects in the wordings of the country's statements about the Pahalgam terror attack. For instance, there have been countries that have said that we do understand India's right of self-defense. And that comes as a crucial support when India wants to respond to Pakistan-sponsored terrorism.
Well, one thing is clear, as the Foreign Secretary also said, India exercised its right to respond to the terror that has been sponsored by Pakistan. This is how the Foreign Secretary, detailed and explained the strikes that we have seen overnight between the 6th and 7th of May. And it is very clear here, when we are talking about how India is going forward. You saw these ambassadors, the envoys coming out, and the way, what has India done? India has done it and it has planned it very meticulously now. We saw 42 envoys being invited to this very building, and they were given the proof of Pakistan's involvement in various terror attacks in India. Now, today, 14 envoys, all 14 members of UNSC, because Pakistan has not been invited, as External Affairs Ministers say, that the perpetrators and victims of terrorism cannot sit on the same table. So Pakistan was not even invited, but the 14 others were invited. All 14 appeared, including China. China's ambassador was also here. We saw that in the visuals just now. When these envoys were invited here, it was very clear that we are going to tell them that yes, we have hit Pakistan. If need be, we'll hit them again. And it is our right to self-defense is what India is very clear about. We are not violating Pakistan's sovereignty. We are not violating Pakistan's infrastructure, military or government. We are hitting at the terrorist targets, and that is well within our right to respond to any terror or extreme step being taken against the sovereignty, integrity and security of our country.
So very important, outreach that India has been doing to various countries on global platforms. Wing Commander, as far as the External Affairs Minister's statement is concerned around Europe, just a few days back we heard him saying we need partners and not preachers. And that's the kind of diplomacy that India has been practicing since the past several years, more so after this terror attack, that yes, we will defend our territory, we will make sure that we respond to Pakistan-sponsored terrorism, and we need partners in this, we need supporters in this, not people and countries who are preaching us, who are, not following, not walking the talk when it comes to their problems and when it comes to problems that are related to this part of the world.
See, directly it is, the distinctions has been clearly made between preaching something and practicing something. There had been countries playing the double games. What they talked yesterday, they will moderate their own sentences. So that is why this message was very much clear that either you are our partner or stop preaching. So this message has gone very down to them. And as Mr. Singh, sir, has already, he has nailed the butt. What exactly is our aim? Ultimately, whether we be able to keep the Pakistan at its limits, or we have to still proceed for our second phase. So this cannot be ruled out. For small retaliation from Pakistan, we are well prepared because POK is ours. As far as targets were concerned, there was precisely 42 targets, but we have only selected 9. The other areas is left out because of the less importance, or we will see whether how Pakistan reacts on that. As far as the borderline is concerned, it is totally fragile. From yesterday night onwards, a lot of shelling in all the sectors, starting from Akhnur to Punjab, Rajasthan, and all border areas. So that is the reason where the Defense Minister Rajnath Singh has been sent there to take the stock of situation on ground, so that India realigns and contingency plan is immediately placed at play, because tactical winning, tactics on the war is very, very important. So we are capable and we are all set to cause maximum attrition rate to the Pakistan forces if they play foul from this point onwards. So basic point was against the terrorism. We have made our point of view very clear to the UN Security Council nations, their ambassadors here in India, and that is the victory, one kind of, we have apprised the world that we do not have any hidden target or hidden agenda. It is our birthright to protect our country and countrymen from the terrorism sponsored by, funded by, trained by the Pakistan government. Because always these terrorists were never been alone. The Pakistan Rangers, the Pakistan regular army people, they have been filtered in 90%, they were contributing to the so-called jihadis. So this point we have made it very clear by stating to the world community also.
Absolutely. That is, of course, for the world community to see. But viewers, remember, as we speak, domestically, we're also carrying out mock drills in different parts of the country. Those, as we speak, are still underway. But as far as global messaging is concerned, India has been very clear since 22nd of April that facts should go out. No other propaganda or narrative backed by Pakistan should be going out as far as this entire handling of the situation is concerned. And that is why we saw the UNSC member countries' envoys right now leaving the South Bloc. They were there. They had that meeting with the Foreign Secretary, Vikram Misri, the man who also briefed about this entire Operation Sindoor, along with, Colonel Qureshi as well as Wing Commander Vyomika Singh. Those three people had briefed the country and the world this morning about what India has done. But as far as global messaging is concerned and making sure that fake news isn't spread, India has been up and about. Indian government is making sure that it busts fake news. RSN Singh, now with all this global messaging going out of India, how much do you think it would impact the kind of geopolitical relationships that we have had since the two wars began? We've got a Donald Trump from the United States of America saying it's a shame that India has had to fight Pakistan-sponsored terrorism for decades now. Obviously countries realize that Pakistan is a problem, that terror emanating from Pakistan is a huge challenge that India faces. But how much of and how many of these countries would be willing to come out directly in support, saying that, yes, we are on the side of India?
No, they will not say it in as many words, but the very fact that they have not spoken against you or spoken about in a restraint and, mediation and de-escalation, that means in a way they are speaking in your favor. And please don't discount the fact that the world community also sees Pakistan from the prism of global jihad. Because wherever you go in the world, whether in Europe or any country you go, or even in the United States of America, the biggest flag bearers of global jihad are the Pakistanis. They have almost taken over Britain. So the Great Britain has almost passed into the hands of global jihadis, mostly Pakistanis. Any visitor to that country will tell you this reality. So they have realized the pitfalls of this, and more so the Islamic countries in West Asia who want peace and tranquility for progress. They want to switch over, but to create alternatives for their economy, as far as oil is concerned. And that is why Prince Salman has embarked on, many reforms, I think staggering reforms. So they also are they also are very, very apprehensive about these, jihadi factory that Pakistan, continues to operate, because it will hit them also at some point of time. And remember, say one thing, if I may ask, if I may ask you, that say if we did nothing at all, Pahalgam happened and we did nothing at all, what would be the consequences? What would happen to jihadism, and what will happen to global jihadism? And this global jihadism, what it would do to China? What impact it will have on Uyghur Muslims? So the entire world is also seeing this, through the prism of global jihad.
Yes.
And then, if you have a chief like this, the jihadi in chief like Asif Munir, what about the safety of nuclear weapons?
Yeah. Mr. Arsan Singh and Wing Commander, I'll come back to you. Let's also quickly play out those visuals, viewers, that are coming in from across the country. Let's show you that mock drill that has been happening. Remember, there was, of course, that government announcement that there will be mock drills carried out. The Union Home Ministry had directed states and UTs, 244 civil defense districts were, were directed to conduct these mock drills. And right now you can see those visuals that are coming in from across the country. One such visual, of course, coming in at the moment of mock drill being carried out. Several steps on how to, save yourself when sirens go, how to save yourself when there is a complete blackout, there is shelling. All of those steps being practiced, being told as well. Let me quickly go across to Mohit Bhatt, my colleague. In fact, he has sent us this report. Quickly take a look at this report.
India is ready for battle, and mock drills are being conducted at various places all throughout the country. And you can see right now one such mock drill is being done over here at Khan Market. And you can see that as soon as the siren came off, we saw that the volunteers of civil defense have gone to various parts over here, and they are informing citizens that they need to get to the nearest shelter. And these are the NDRF officials and civil defense officials who are part of this particular drill. So what exactly needs to be done in such a panic situation? What exactly needs to be done when something of this kind happens, where in a war-like situation, if there is an attack by enemy, what needs to be done? This all is being demonstrated by the officials of NDRF. So as of now, the siren has come off, and that is why we see that the NDRF officials over here have taken their position. And as soon as the siren will go off, they will move towards the nearest point. And we know that how the other civil defense officials, they have gone all throughout the market and they are informing people. And it's an air raid. The announcement is being made that it's an air raid, the officials from the Delhi government, and they have been asked to take cover. So this is the demo of an air raid where the people have taken the cover. So clearly, not just here at Khan Market, but in all parts of the country, such mock drills, given the fact that how we are in a war-like situation in Pakistan, India has hit back at the terror outfit of Pakistan, and this is the siren which symbolizes an air raid. And you can see that how people are sitting over here, taking shelters. So this is kind of a demonstration that what needs to be done, because India is prepared to hit back at the enemy, and surely Pakistan, being the mischievous country that it is, will try to create problems for the India. And you can see that how that is the first response vehicle that will be going to the parts of the market, and they will be, and you can see that a fire extinguisher is with them, and how they are using fire extinguisher to douse fire. This is the demonstration that what exactly would be done. You can see there are police officials over here, and this is how the everything would be demonstrated. Now, what exactly needs to be done in in a war-like situation, because India is battle ready to defend our territory. It's Pakistan that has always sheltered terrorism and always tried to inflict terrorism in the country. So that is why we see that the preparations are being done. So that is the emergency response vehicle which is there. And if there is a fire-like situation, if there's an air raid, the bombs are being dropped, what exactly needs to be done, that is all being demonstrated over here at Khan Market. And remember, all throughout the country at this particular time, these mock drills are happening, and to tell people that what exactly they need to do, how exactly they need to take shelter, and if there is an emergency-like situation, what steps need to be done. So as we speak, the mock drill continues over here. The officials from Civil Defense, NDRF, Delhi Police and Delhi government all are here for this particular mock drill. With video journalist Pradeep Mohit Bhatt for Times Now in Delhi.
All right, let me go across to my colleague Sabyasachi, who's joining us from Delhi's Lajpat Nagar. Sabyasachi, mock drills being carried out across the country, 244 civil defense districts that were directed by the government to carry out these mock drills. What's happening around you at the moment?
Well, that's right. See, the mock drills are being conducted to show the preparedness in any sort of hostile situation. And you can see how the fire brigade services are out here. The Delhi police have been deployed out here. Now, the entire Lajpat Nagar market was completely filled with people at the start of the mock drill. But as the air sirens went on, the entire Lajpat Nagar was immediately vacated by the Delhi police, by the civil defense. And you can see on your screen that the shops are being completely shut down, their shutters are down, and on the right side you can see the first aid of people who are suffered injuries. Their first aid.
Sabyasachi, I'll come back to you. Let's listen into what the Defense Minister Rajnath Singh is saying.
Refugee Minister, Parliamentary Affairs and Minority Affairs, Dr. Jitendra Singh, Minister of State, Science and Technology, और हमारे बीच वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग के माध्यम से जुड़े गवर्नर हिमाचल प्रदेश हिमांशु प्रताप जी शुक्ला, गवर्नर अरुणाचल प्रदेश लेफ्टिनेंट जनरल कैवल्य पटनायक, गवर्नर राजस्थान श्री हरिभाऊ किशन राव बागड़े, चीफ मिनिस्टर अरुणाचल प्रदेश श्री पेमा खांडू, चीफ जुड़े सम्मानित जनप्रतिनिधिगण एवं अधिकारीगण, जनरल उपेंद्र द्विवेदी, चीफ ऑफ आर्मी स्टाफ श्री राजेश सिंह जी, डिफेंस सेक्रेटरी लेफ्टिनेंट जनरल रघु श्रीनिवासन, डीजी बॉर्डर रोड, बीआरओ के सभी कर्मयोगी एवं देवियों व सज्जनों, आप सभी जानते हैं कि आज हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी के मार्गदर्शन में हमारे भारत की सेना ने हम सभी भारतवासियों का मस्तक ऊंचा किया है। इसलिए मैं चाहता हूं कि एक बार अपने स्थान पर खड़े हो जाएं और मैं नारे लगाऊंगा। हमारे देश के सेना के जवानों के सम्मान में हम सभी बोलेंगे, भारत माता की, भारत माता की, भारत माता की। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। साथियों, जैसी कि आप सबको जानकारी है कि कल रात हमारी भारतीय सेनाओं ने अपने अद्भुत शौर्य और पराक्रम का परिचय देते हुए एक नया इतिहास रच दिया है। साथियों, भारत की सेना ने सटीकता, सतर्कता और संवेदनशीलता के साथ कार्रवाई की है। हमने जो लक्ष्य तय किए थे उन्हें ठीक समय तय योजना के अनुसार सटीकता से उन्होंने ध्वस्त किया है और किसी भी नागरिक ठिकाने, सिविलियन पॉपुलेशन को जरा भी प्रभावित न होने देने की संवेदनशीलता भी हमारी सेना ने दिखाई है। यानी एक तरीके से देखा जाए, हम कह सकते हैं एक तरीके की सटीकता, सतर्कता और मानवीयता यह हमारी भारत की सेना के जवानों ने दिखाई है, जिसके लिए मैं हमारे सेना के जवानों और अधिकारियों को पूरे देश की ओर से मैं साधुवाद देता हूं और सेना को संपूर्ण संबल प्रदान करने के लिए अपने प्रधानमंत्री माननीय नरेंद्र मोदी जी को भी मैं साधुवाद देता हूं। मित्रों, हमने हनुमान जी के उस आदर्श का पालन किया है जो उन्होंने अशोक वाटिका उजाड़ते समय किया था। जिन मोहि मारा तिन मोहि मारे। हमने केवल उन्हीं को मारा जिन्होंने हमारे मासूमों को मारा। साथियों, प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी के नेतृत्व में हमारी सेनाओं ने ऑपरेशन सिंदूर लॉन्च करके पहले की तरह ही इस बार भी आतंकियों को ट्रेनिंग देने वाले कैंप्स को तबाह करके करारा जवाब दिया है। भारत ने अपनी सरजमी पर हुए हमले का जवाब देने के लिए अपने राइट टू रेस्पॉन्ड का इस्तेमाल किया है और हमारी यह कार्रवाई बेहद सोच समझकर सधे हुए तरीके से की गई है। आतंकियों के हौसले पस्त करने के उद्देश्य से यह कार्रवाई महज उनके कैंप्स और इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर तक ही सीमित रखी गई है। मैं पुनः हमारे आर्म फोर्सेस के शौर्य को मैं नमन करता हूं। साथियों, आज बॉर्डर रोड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के 66वें फाउंडेशन डे पर आपके बीच उपस्थित होना मेरे लिए गौरव का विषय है और यह खुशी की बात है कि आज इस इंपॉर्टेंट डे पर बीआरओ द्वारा निर्मित 50 इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोजेक्ट्स का उद्घाटन करने का अवसर भी हमें प्राप्त हो रहा है। मैं आप सभी का आभार व्यक्त करता हूं कि आपने मुझे यहां आमंत्रित किया है। साथियों, किसी भी संस्थान के लिए उसका फाउंडेशन डे यह बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण हुआ करता है। वैसे भी 65 वर्षों की आपकी जो यात्रा रही है वो बेहद गौरवशाली रही है। इसलिए आज का दिन उस गौरवमयी यात्रा को याद करने का दिन है। इसके साथ साथ यह दिन ठहर कर सोचने का भी दिन होता है कि अपनी अब तक की यात्रा में हमने क्या क्या हासिल किया है और यह हमारी अब तक की कार्य प्रणाली का विश्लेषण करने का भी यह दिन है। साथ ही यह एनालिसिस करने का भी दिन है कि भविष्य में हमारी राह क्या होनी चाहिए। साथियों, मैं देख पा रहा हूं कि वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग के माध्यम से देश के अलग अलग क्षेत्रों से हमारे कई साथी जुड़े हुए हैं। अक्सर हम उद्घाटन के अवसर पर बड़ी बड़ी संस्थाओं का और बड़ी बड़ी एजेंसीज का नाम तो लेते हैं, परंतु ऐसे कई कर्मयोगी हैं जो पर्दे के पीछे रहकर काम करते हैं। इसी प्रोजेक्ट को पूरा करने में उनका योगदान भी बेहद महत्वपूर्ण होता है। इसलिए मुझे लगता है कि आज का दिन उनके योगदान को एक्नॉलेज करने और एप्रिशिएट करने का भी दिन है। साथियों, आज जम्मू कश्मीर, लद्दाख, सिक्किम, मिजोरम, अरुणाचल प्रदेश, पश्चिम बंगाल और राजस्थान में कई प्रोजेक्ट्स का उद्घाटन हुआ है। कहने को तो हम सारे फिजिकल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हैं, लेकिन मैं इन्हें सिर्फ फिजिकल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर ही नहीं समझता। हमें जो सड़कें दिखती हैं, जो पुल दिखते हैं, वह सिर्फ दो स्थानों को जोड़ने वाले नहीं होते, बल्कि वह लोगों के दिलों को जोड़ने वाले होते हैं। इन प्रोजेक्ट से राष्ट्रीय सुरक्षा को तो मजबूती मिलती ही है, साथ ही साथ यह प्रोजेक्ट इन सभी रीजन्स को इकोनॉमिक प्रॉस्पेरिटी को भी बढ़ावा देते हैं। यह तमाम प्रोजेक्ट इन क्षेत्रों में ट्रांसपोर्टेशन, टूरिज्म और इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटी को बढ़ावा देंगे, जिससे निश्चित रूप से यहाँ के निवासियों की आय में वृद्धि होगी, उनकी क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ में भी इंप्रूवमेंट होगा और इन क्षेत्रों में समृद्धि आएगी यानी प्रॉस्पेरिटी आएगी। साथियों, मुझे बताया गया कि आज जिन इंफ्रा प्रोजेक्ट्स की शुरुआत की गई है, इनकी टोटल कॉस्ट लगभग 1900 करोड़ रुपए के आसपास की है। मुझे लगता है कि यह केवल उनकी नॉमिनल वैल्यू पर है। इसकी असली वैल्यू है वह तो हम आंक भी नहीं सकते। इन सड़कों के माध्यम से जब कोई बच्ची स्कूल जाएगी और अपना भविष्य बनाएगी तो उसके इंपैक्ट का आकलन भी हम नहीं कर सकते। इन ब्रिजेज के माध्यम से जब यहां एम्बुलेंसेज दौड़ेंगी और समय पर लोगों को इलाज होगा, उसकी वैल्यू को भी नहीं आंका जा सकता है।
जब इन सड़कों के माध्यम से विभिन्न संस्कृति के लोग आपस में जुड़ेंगे या फिर एक दूसरे से जो कुछ सीखेंगे, उसकी वैल्यू कोई भी आंक नहीं सकता है। जब इन टनल्स के माध्यम से यहाँ के किसानों द्वारा उगाए गए फूल, फल, सब्जियां इत्यादि दूसरे क्षेत्रों में आसानी से पहुंचेंगे, उसका जो आर्थिक और सामाजिक प्रभाव यहाँ के किसानों पर पड़ेगा, उसकी वैल्यू, उसकी कीमत कोई भी नहीं आंक सकता। साथियों, मैं इन प्रोजेक्ट्स की डिटेल देख रहा था। मैंने देखा कि इनमें छोटे से लेकर बड़े रोड्स, टनल्स और ब्रिजेज हैं। कुछ मीटर से लेकर सैकड़ों किलोमीटर तक इनकी लंबाई है। हालांकि उनकी लंबाई से कोई खास फर्क नहीं पड़ता है। कोई पुल अगर छोटा है, कोई सड़क यदि छोटी है, तो इससे कोई खास फर्क नहीं पड़ता, क्योंकि दुनिया की लंबी से लंबी जो यात्राएं होती हैं, वह सिर्फ एक छोटे से रास्ते से ही शुरू होती हैं। इसलिए इन प्रोजेक्ट्स की कीमत, इनकी वैल्यू सिर्फ इस बात से नहीं आंकी जा सकती क्या फाइनेंशियली या फिजिकली कितना बड़ा प्रोजेक्ट है और यह कितना छोटा प्रोजेक्ट है। असल में इनकी असली कीमत इस बात से है कि यह कितने परिवारों को जोड़ रही हैं, कितने लोगों की संस्कृति को, उनके रहन सहन को आपस में करीब ला रही हैं, कितने लोगों की आर्थिक और सामाजिक समृद्धि, इकोनॉमिक और सोशल प्रॉस्पेरिटी में अपना ये योगदान दे रही हैं। यह प्रोजेक्ट लोहे, कंक्रीट या कोलतार से बनी हुई एक संरचना भर नहीं है, बल्कि यह एक कमिटमेंट है, यह एक प्रतिबद्धता है सीमावर्ती क्षेत्र के विकास का। यह एक रिजॉल्व है, यह एक संकल्प है बॉर्डर एरियाज में क्वालिटी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बिल्ड करने का। यह एक दृढ़ निश्चयता का डिटर्मिनेशन है लोगों के दिलों को जोड़ने का। इसलिए मैंने कहा कि ये प्रोजेक्ट इनवैल्यूएबल हैं, इनकी कीमत का आकलन नहीं किया जा सकता। साथियों, प्राचीन काल से ही मार्ग मानव सभ्यता के विकास में बड़ी महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाते आए हैं। मार्गों की महत्ता हमारे इतिहास में हमेशा से रही है। जब आप मानवता का इतिहास पलट कर देखेंगे तो आप ये पाएंगे कि ट्रांसपोर्टेशन रूट्स ने कितना इंपॉर्टेंट रोल प्ले किया है। इतिहास बताते हैं कि सिविलाइजेशन थ्राइव हुई तो उसके पीछे रूट्स और राजमार्गों का बहुत बड़ा योगदान रहा है। कला, साहित्य, संस्कृति और विज्ञान का प्रचार प्रसार एक क्षेत्र से दूसरे क्षेत्र तक इन्हीं के माध्यम से फैलता है। यदि मैं भारत के संदर्भ में बात करूं तो मुझे यहां के दो इंपॉर्टेंट रूट्स के नाम स्वाभाविक रूप से याद आ रहे हैं। आप शायद उत्तरापथ और दक्षिणापथ के बारे में जानते होंगे या सुना होगा। उत्तरापथ और दक्षिणापथ हमारे इंडियन सब कॉन्टिनेंट के डिफरेंट रीजन्स को एक दूसरे से जोड़ने वाले धागे की तरह। आप सोचिए, हजारों साल पहले जब संचार के इतने तेज साधन नहीं थे, तब आइडियाज और कल्चर, विचार और संस्कृति एक जगह से दूसरी जगह कैसे पहुंचते थे। पांड्य साम्राज्य का मोती और मदुरई का कपास आखिर मगध के पाटलिपुत्र में कैसे बहुत प्रसिद्ध हो गया। राजकुमार सिद्धार्थ से भगवान बने महात्मा बुद्ध की शिक्षाएं कावेरी पट्टनम तक कैसे पहुंच गई। संगम युग की मणिमैखली की चर्चा कश्मीर तक कैसे फैल गई। जब भारत में मॉडर्न पॉलिटिकल यूनिटी का कंसेप्ट भी नहीं आया था, तब से इन रूट्स ने सभ्यता और संस्कृति के विकास और आदान प्रदान में बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाई है। यदि हम महात्मा बुद्ध के बाद के इतिहास पर भी नजर डालें, तब भी हमें यह देखने को मिलता है कैसे दूसरे क्षेत्रों से आकर लोगों ने भारत की संस्कृति को समृद्ध किया और भारत की संस्कृति से भी उन्होंने बहुत कुछ सीखा भी है। इन मार्गों का महत्व तब भी इतना ज्यादा था कि व्यापार के लिए समर्पित सड़कें बनाई जाती थी। आप जब सिल्क रूट के बारे में जानते हैं, आप सभी को मालूम है सिल्क रूट के बारे में, जिसने एक तरह से पूरे एशिया और मध्य यूरोप तक को कवर कर लिया था। भारत से भी उस सिल्क रूट का एक बड़ा हिस्सा होकर गुजरता था, जिससे न सिर्फ सामान बल्कि संस्कृति और विचार का भी एक्सचेंज, आदान प्रदान यह होता था। एशिया और यूरोप के बीच कल्चरल एक्सचेंज, सांस्कृतिक आदान प्रदान में भी सिल्क रूट का बहुत बड़ा योगदान रहा है। साथियों, सिर्फ स्थलीय मार्ग का ही नहीं बल्कि जलीय मार्ग का भी ह्यूमन सिविलाइजेशन, मानव सभ्यता में एक बहुत बड़ा महत्व रहा है।
When the stakes are high and the answers are elusive, there's one voice unafraid to challenge the status quo.
At 8 p.m., I am not here to sugarcoat the truth. I am here to ask the hard questions. Because when others play it safe, I go straight to the heart of the matter. It's not about left or right. It's about what's right for India. It's about holding the powerful accountable.
India Upfront with Pranesh Roy. Weeknights at 8 p.m. only on Times Now. No spin, no compromise, just the truth.
For over 30 years, my journalism has been relentless, fearless, and uncompromised. My stories have breached lofty ivory towers and brought down the high and mighty. And I won't stop.
When the clock strikes 9, it is time for the news hour. Navika Kumar asks the legitimate question.
When your rights are trampled, I will be your voice, demanding answers from the corridors of power.
News Hour at 9 with Navika Kumar.
Journalism is a mission, not just to seek accountability or a fight for justice, but for honesty and integrity. Voicing citizens' concerns and using the truth to demand answers, ensuring that you come first on agenda. Watch News Hour Agenda with me, Masud Azhar, weeknights at 10 o'clock only on Times Now.
When the nation demands clarity, we cut through the noise to bring you the real story.
Unbiased, unfiltered, unstoppable. On the ground, where it matters the most. With insights that go beyond the headlines.
We connect the dots so you see the bigger picture.
From every corner of the nation.
We are your voice. We are Times Now.
The faces you trust. The news you believe. Only on Times Now.
The biggest news break of the day. Exclusive that set the primetime agenda. Bringing you stories that matter. News breaks that shake up the system. Join us for the biggest revelation on Blueprint exclusive weekdays at 6 p.m. only on Times Now.
She asks tough questions like no other journalist.
आप भाग रहे हैं सवाल पे. बड़ा सिंपल सा स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड सवाल है. Mr. D.K. Shiv Kumar, what next for you? When are you taking over as Chief Minister?
She takes on the masters of Indian politics.
Namaskar, good evening. I am Swati Joshi and Operation Sindoor is India's response to the Pahalgam attack. 15 days after Pakistan-backed and Pakistan-sponsored terrorists butchered 26 innocent tourists in Pahalgam. 13 days. Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Since Prime Minister Narendra Modi vowed to hunt down and eliminate Pahalgam butchers and their terror sponsors, India has avenged Pahalgam by targeting 9 terror camps of Lashkar, Jaish and Hizbul in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. The name of the operation, Operation Sindoor, was coined by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, a term that is both symbolic and evocative. We can't forget how terrorists targeted innocent Hindu men in Pahalgam for their faith, killing them in cold blood in front of their wives, mothers, sisters, daughters and sons. Today, by executing Operation Sindoor, our forces have made Pakistan pay.
Pakistan also has a well-deserved reputation as a haven for terrorists from around the world, with internationally proscribed terrorists enjoying impunity there. In addition, Pakistan has been known to willfully mislead the world and international forums, such as the Financial Action Task Force, on this issue. Earlier this morning, as you would be aware, India exercised its right to respond and preempt, as well as deter more such cross-border attacks. These actions were measured, non-escalatory, proportionate, and responsible.
Let's take a look at these visuals on your screens. This is the exact moment when forces rained hell on Masud Azhar's terror headquarters in Pakistan's Bahawalpur, 400 kilometers from Lahore. This was one of the 9 targets of Operation Sindoor. When post-midnight our forces hit terror infrastructure in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, this satisfying visual that is playing on your screens is from Jaish-e-Mohammed's Markaz Subhanallah camp in Pakistan's 12th largest city. Why is this significant? Because this center used to be the operational headquarters of Jaish-e-Mohammed. This is the place from where Masud Azhar plotted Pulwama terror attack of 2019. This markaz consists of residences of Jaish chief Masud Azhar and his family members who've been crushed in India's precision strike. The punishment has been so devastating for Maulana Masud Azhar that he is now wishing for death. This is how India made Pakistani terrorists pay for Pahalgam terror attack, where 26 innocents were butchered. Let's in fact break down why Jaish headquarters was chosen by our forces. Why was it one of the targets? Here are the details that we are sharing. And this is the image. This is the image of the Jaish headquarter and the terrorist den, where terrorists are not just trained, but attacks like the Pulwama attack are planned, are plotted. In fact, this is the residence as well of Masud Azhar's family. He lived in this camp. Pulwama attack was planned here, and in the precision strike carried out by India, the family of Masud Azhar was killed. And the pain was felt by the terrorist who has bloods on his hands of innocent individuals, who now says that he is wishing for death. Let's take a look at how chaos gripped Bahawalpur when India struck. The video we are going to play captures the sentiment of the locals in Bahawalpur. A frustrated Pakistani local is heard saying that Masood's madrasa has been struck with 4 missiles. He is also heard asking, where is the Pak army?
पाकिस्तानी और इंडिया ने जंग शुरू कर दी है। अभी मेरे बहावलपुर सिटी के अंदर मौलाना मसूद अजहर साहब के जो है मदरसा है उसके ऊपर 4 मिसाइल दागे गए हैं। 4 मिसाइलों के साथ हमला किया गया है मौलाना मसूद अजहर साहब के मदरसे के ऊपर। हम अपनी अफवाज पाकिस्तान के साथ खड़े हैं, लेकिन मेरा सवाल है कि हमारी एजेंसीज कहां सोई हुई थी, हमारी अफवाज पाकिस्तान कहां सोई हुई थी जब ये हमला हुआ। मुजफ्फराबाद की भी खबर आ रही है कि मुजफ्फराबाद वाली साइड पे भी ये अटैक हुआ है, लेकिन सबसे पहले मेरे बहावलपुर सिटी के अंदर अटैक हुआ है ब्लास्टिक मिसाइल के साथ। उन्होंने हमला किया है मौलाना मसूद अजहर साहब के मदरसे के ऊपर। 4 मिसाइल मारे गए हैं। अभी ये कहना कबल वक्त है कि गोया कितनी सच्चाई है इस खबर के अंदर, किस साइड से ये मिसाइल आए हैं, ये अभी कंफर्म होना बाकी है, लेकिन ये कंफर्म न्यूज़ है कि उनके मदरसे के ऊपर 4 मिसाइल मारे गए हैं।
Let's take a look at Masud Azhar's headquarters in Bahawalpur, how it looked like before and after India's precision strike. Total demolition looks like this. As per reports, at least 10 members of Masud Azhar's family have been killed in Operation Sindoor. A statement attributed to Masud Azhar, which is being widely reported, quotes him as saying that his elder sister, her husband and nephew are among the 14 family members who were killed in India's Operation Sindoor. And what do we know about them? Let's explain through graphics about the family members of Masud Azhar who were killed in the attack. And this is as per what the terrorist himself has claimed. Elder sister and husband were killed in this precision strike that was carried out at the headquarters. This is where his family lived. It also included Masud Azhar's nephew and his wife. They were all killed in the strike that was carried out. The niece was also killed in the strike Operation Sindoor that was successfully carried out by forces. In all, 10 relatives and 4 aides of Masud Azhar have been reported dead in the strike, and after which Masud Azhar in a statement has said that he too wishes for death. We showed how forces have made Pulwama terror attack mastermind pay in Operation Sindoor. Now let's tell you about the other Pakistani terror boss who is squirming in pain. It's Lashkar Chief Hafiz Saeed. Operation Sindoor wiped out his Murid ke headquarters as well. Take a look at how forces demolished Saeed's Muridke hideout. This is terror den, and it is present just 42 kilometers north of Lahore. This is where Kassab and David Headley were trained. Why was Muridke chosen by our forces? Let's decode graphically as well. This is another terror den that was hit by our forces, and let's take a look at why this is extremely important. Why is this significant? Because this terror camp, Markaz Taiba in Muridke, is Lashkar-e-Taiba's headquarter in Pakistan, where the terrorists are trained. Ajmal Kassab and David Headley were trained as well. Alma mater of the Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorists. This terror camp is where Ajmal Kassab, who remember was caught during the 26/11 attacks on Mumbai, along with double agent Headley, were given training as well. Osama funded a mosque in this area here in Muridke. Kassab was trained as well in Muridke along with the double agent David Headley. 26/11 terrorists were trained here. This is all proof after proof of how Pakistan, in fact, has been sheltering these terrorists, providing them infrastructure, providing them a safe haven, and that's the reason why this headquarter, targeting of this headquarter, was extremely important for India. Let's now go across to General VP Malik, former Army Chief, joining us on the broadcast. Thank you very much for giving us your time, sir. Your first response to Operation Sindoor, our response to Pahalgam attack.
Good evening, Swati. Swati, there has been a paradigm shift this time, the manner in which we have retaliated after the horrific incident that took place in Pahalgam, where 26 innocent civilians were killed. The paradigm shift has been that this, for the first time, we have adopted a whole of the nation approach. We started off by diplomatic and economic sanctions. The Indus Water Treaty has been suspended, which had been considered earlier but never suspended. And then the whole of the nation was also considering what kind of kinetic action to take place. Now, we had done kinetic action earlier also when we had the strike after Uri, cross-border strike. And also after Pulwama incident, we had bombed the Lashkar, one of the camps in Balakot. But this time it had to be stronger because apparently those earlier actions that we had taken were not sufficient in deterring the terrorists which are sponsored by Pakistan Army. So this time it had to be much stronger, and that is what we were all expecting it, and that took place. So the kinetic action that has been has carried out now, as you said yourself, it has hit 9 camps of the terrorists, both of the Lashkar-e-Taiba as well as Masud Azhar's camp in Bahalpur. And it has now, as you said, the Muridke camp of Lashkar-e-Taiba is very close to Lahore. We have hit not only camps located in across the line of control in J&K, Pakistan-occupied J&K, but also in Punjab. So that's a very strong message that has been sent. And also we have taken very strong diplomatic action alongside the kinetic action undertaken by the Indian armed forces. So it's a big shift. And if they try something more after this, you will find that perhaps India will be left with no choice but to make it even stronger than what we have done this time.
Would you say, General Malik, that the action has only begun now? Because the NSA, while speaking to his counterparts, according to reports, has said India does not want to escalate. But it's clear that if Pakistan continues these misadventures, that India is only going to retaliate. Is this also a massive shift from the one-off strikes? Because this time we've hit the infrastructure deep in Pakistan.
You're right. You know, although we have taken this action as our own, as our Foreign Secretary said, in a very responsible manner, and hoping that it will not escalate, as he said, that at the lowest rung of escalation, I would say, that is what we had done at the moment. But then Pakistan Army is, at the moment, their own image is affected in Pakistan. So for their own morale, as well as to show the strength to their own domestic audience, they will perhaps do something, and we should expect that. And to that extent, I think we are quite prepared for it. We have taken a few days to start this kinetic action and take this initiative. And I'm sure that we are quite well prepared for it in case they try and escalate it from their side.
Well, statements are being made from Pakistan that they will try and refrain or practice restraint if India does not escalate. Does that also give us a hint of how Pakistan has already surrendered, sending feelers that India should not escalate? Because clearly Pakistan's preparedness has been exposed. Multiple statements and claims were made from that side that they'll retaliate, they'll give a befitting response. But the fact that we could use modernized artillery and hit them deep inside also sends out a message that Pakistan clearly isn't prepared to stand as far as India's might is concerned.
Swati, the statement that you have mentioned was made by their defense minister, if I'm right. But we must understand that there is a fair amount of disconnect between the Pakistani military and Pakistani political leadership. So while I'm sure that Pakistan politicians do not want to escalate it further, and that's why that statement has been made, but you cannot yet say that will be that will be followed by the Pakistan Army chief. So we have to expect that, and we have to expect that they may do something for their own image, the Pakistan Army, to show to their own domestic public that they still have some strength left. So therefore, we should not rule out anything. We should be prepared for the worst.
Absolutely. Now, while our chiefs, our tri-services chiefs were leading from the front, we saw those one-on-one high-level meetings going on with Prime Minister Narendra Modi continuously. The Pakistani army chief was MI. After, he made that speech about what is the difference between Hindus and Muslims, what is the difference between India and Pakistan, he went MI.
So that is what, it shows the Pakistani army's mindset, and particularly that of their army chief today. Now, Asim Munir is a madrasa student, and I would say that he believes in what Jinnah had said about two-nation theory, and he also believes in what General Ziaul Haq started off by radicalizing the Pakistani army. So he's got that kind of a mindset, and we all know that he doesn't really bother much about the Pakistani political leadership. So under these circumstances, I think we should expect something from this radical mind of the Pakistani army chief.
Absolutely. I'd also like your response on the press briefing that was held this morning, where we saw our female officers take the lead, and the kind of messaging that it sends across. What are your views on that?
I think that was a very appropriate messaging that was done. And both these girls who spoke, I think it was very appropriate. They spoke very well. And considering that, the name of the Operation Sindoor, it shows that our women in India have been affected much more than even the men. I'm just giving because so many young girls got widowed during that Pahalgam incident. So therefore, I thought it was very appropriate for the government to put these two girls who are good soldiers, I must say that, and they spoke very well. And I think by their presence, I think we have been able to send the right message, not only to Pakistan, but to the rest of the world also. Absolutely.
Apt title and a befitting response. That's what it was. Thank you very much, General Malik, for speaking with us. Thank you for taking our time. Well, 25 minutes. That's all it took for India to strike fear into the hearts of the terrorists. When you and I were asleep this morning, Bharat's tri-services comprising of the Army, Air Force and Navy launched 25 missiles in Pakistan. Ghar mein ghus ke marna. That's exactly what our forces did. 9 terror pads have been blown to smithereens, 5 of which were in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and the remaining 4 in Pakistan mainland. While there is still no clarity on the casualty figures, sources say over 60 terrorists have been eliminated in this operation. 10 of them members of Masud Azhar's family, but we will talk about that later. 21 terror hubs were identified after weeks and months of intel, but only 9 of them were annihilated, possibly because this was just a teaser. So these are the details coming to fore. Let's also take you through the terror establishments that we are talking about, were the targets and how they were destroyed. Here are some details. Target number 1, Markaz Subhanallah, Bahawalpur, Pakistan. Why it matters, like we explained earlier, this is the operational headquarters of the Jaish-e-Mohammed and it is linked to the 2019 Pulwama attack. It's located near Pakistan's 31 Corps headquarters and a secret nuclear facility. Target number 2, Markaz Taiba. This is in Muridke, Pakistan. Why it matters? Because this is the headquarters of the Lashkar-e-Taiba. The chief of LET, remember, is Hafiz Saeed, the mastermind of the 26/11 terror attack. This is used for recruitment and military training. This was bombed as well. Partially, it is funded by the Punjab government and is linked to Hafiz Saeed. See how the terrorists are part of the system there in Pakistan. Target number 3, Sarjal or Tehra Kalan. Why it matters? Because this is the key Jaish-e-Mohammed launch site for infiltrating terrorists into our territory, into Jammu and Kashmir. Why it matters? Target number 3, hidden within the primary health center to evade detection. But that strategy clearly has failed in this case. Target number 4, Mehmoona Joya facility. Now this matters because it functions as a covert base for the ISI's covert operation. So look at who all have been hit in this precision strike. This is a launch base for terrorist infiltration across the international border and the LOC as well. Let's move on. Let's share more details about the targets. Target number 5, Markaz Ahle Hadith. This matters because it facilitates Lashkar-e-Taiba infiltration into Poonch, Rajouri and Riyasi sectors. Apart from that, it's located just 200 to 500 meters from critical access roads. That's why it